Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports, kicking off a new week here on the show with the preseason officially in the rearview mirror, and now our sights set on September 4th, the Eagles' home opener, which is next Thursday night. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
Oh, didn't get much rest. Howie Roseman. Come on, Howie. Put down the Red Bull. Let's take it easy for a little bit. I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over.
Me neither, John. Red Bull firmly in hand yesterday. Maybe a couple 16-ounces for Howie yesterday in that department. 3 trades, John. Your first reaction to a couple of those trades. Darian Kennard is out. Sam Howell, a quarterback, comes in. And our buddy, Fred Johnson, who we've talked a lot about on this show, is brought back in for some offensive line depth. Just your first things that come to mind when you think about what Howie did yesterday. A trio of trades.
Well, I think there's a lot of positives in the fact that, and you're going to hear that, and Howie deserves all his flowers, and he's the best GM in football and all that, and yada, yada, yada. So I want to make sure to emphasize that. The Eagles are always trying to win outside the margins. He's always talked about, if there's somebody on the street that's better than our 90th player, we're going to do it, and they're going to try to do all that stuff, and I think all of that is true, and it's positive and all that. But, my first immediate thought is, how bad was this 90-man offseason roster? That you got to go outside the organization at so many positions to feel comfortable. So that's there's a lot of good, but there's some bad. And stuff didn't work out to the way the Eagles wanted. And there's a lot of things. You talk about Fred Johnson, who comes in and, he did a nice job last year, and the Eagles let him go, bottom line, because they thought it was more likely that they were going to get an offensive tackle in over the first 2 days of the draft. That things, but you're at the mercy, especially when you're picking 32
right,
of everybody else, and they were able to get Jahad Campbell and things shipped. I think Josh Connerly would have been here if they weren't able to get Jahad Campbell. So, I think their process with Fred was like, all right, we're going to get a young tackle, so we'll let him go down to Jacksonville. And the part about how he's saying, I can get backups. Well, you got a backup for a 7th round pick, a 2026 7th round pick. And then he trades Darian Kennard because there's no need for Darian Kennard now because Matt Pryor can settle in as the interior backup, and you get a 6th round pick back. So if you look at it from that perspective, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not the biggest Sam Howell fan, but he's a hell of a lot better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Kyle McCord. And it looks like Tanner McKee is going to be out for week 1 at least. And you don't want one of those guys to snap away even for a week. And probably nothing happens. And Jalen's very durable, and it's going to be no issue. And he's never going to play. But you don't want to be in that position even for a week. And maybe it's 2 weeks, but Tanner, there was an erroneous report that Tanner was going to start on injured reserve. That is not true. He is not. So they think he's going to be back inside of that 4-game window at the bare minimum. So as a 3rd string quarterback, Sam's pretty good. I don't necessarily like him as a 2nd stringer and certainly as a starter.
Well, he does have some experience. He has a lot more experience than Tanner McKee. I think Tanner McKee.
Oh yeah, I mean he started the whole essentially his whole sophomore season. Threw for 4,000 yards. Also led the NFL, I think, in interceptions. So,
21 touchdowns, 21 picks.
But that's young quarterbacks. I know Kevin O'Connell's got the reputation he's got, and that scares me a little bit if he's given up on him to bring in Carson Wentz to be blunt. That scares me a little bit. But again, he's a 3rd string quarterback. There he was supposed to be the backup. Here he's going to be the 3rd string quarterback. So I think they got incrementally better. He's certainly, as I said, better than Kyle McCord or DRT, but DTR. But yeah, I mean, the back end of the roster moves, and they got slightly better. Fred's Kendall Lamb didn't work out. Matt Pryor didn't work out trying to left tackle. So you get a little bit better there. You get a little bit better at third string quarterback. But, it's disappointing when you work with guys all spring and summer and they're not able to break through. So I think that's the part that, and I get it. Everybody wants to be optimistic, but I mean, and then you go all the way back to August and you bring in Jacorian Bennett because the cornerbacks weren't good enough, and you're bringing in John Mechie because the receivers aren't good enough. You got to talk about that other side of the coin, I think, as well, to be honest. And so there's a lot of good to it, but there's some bad to it as well. And I don't think he's done by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think he's done either. We'll continue to keep our eyes on it. I'm sure we might have a breaking news report at some point today. Roster cutdowns, initial cutdowns will be tomorrow, and they're in by 4 p.m., John? Is that what it is?
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
4 p.m. tomorrow. So keep your eyes posted for that, everybody. John, a couple questions on all these different moves here, and then we'll kind of talk about what you just laid out with. Maybe there's some concern here, but let's start with the Sam Howell trade. It was the first trade of the day. They got back Howell and a 6th, and they sent a 5th and a 7th. All good with that compensation that they used there to get Sam Howell?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they have so many future draft picks. That not much of a concern, and that's what you use them for, or you should, because you get more proven commodities. And you've seen the day 3 picks. Everybody gets excited. How I remember all the talk about Cam Williams. Well, he's Texas and this and that, and not ready. And that's a lot of day 3 rookies. So you get a very competent, as I said, quarterback 3 for minimal draft capital. So, from that standpoint, I rarely disagree with how he trades from a value standpoint. Just a little bit disappointing that you had 2 options, and one guy started a few games out of necessity in Cleveland. One guy was a day 3 pick here, and they didn't develop enough to where you felt comfortable even putting them out there for 1 week with a very durable quarterback. I mean, let's be honest. That's what happened. Yeah. They were going to have to be the backup for 1 week, maybe 2 at the most. And they weren't even comfortable with that, knowing Jalen Hurts is 99% going to get through the game and you're never going to have to play. And they still didn't feel comfortable.
Kind of an indictment on those 2 guys, but I don't think it was a bad move. John, one of the things I thought about yesterday, and I did a night show last night, just kind of reacting once I sat down at my desk and realized the Eagles were shaking and baking all day long, was when you operate in this way in this offseason like they have, no big name players, a lot of cheap signings, obviously preparing for what's to come in the future with the big contracts. There's a way to do it where you can incrementally improve your odds of winning. And I think depth is one of those ways to do it. And I thought their moves yesterday did that. I mean, you brought in Fred Johnson. I think you bring back a familiar name, John, because it's late August. And, you might feel more comfortable with a guy who's worked with Jeff, who's been here for a period of time. And there's less acclimation period for that player. And then quarterback, I mean, same thing. I'm a Kyle McCord guy because I'm a St. Joe's prep guy, but that kid's not ready to play yet, unfortunately. So I thought it was a good moves in a sense of, if you're not making big splashes, the next best thing you're do is to make sure your 53 is as good as possible from top to bottom. And I think they improved it yesterday. So I was pretty happy with the moves just from that sense.
Yeah, I think, they got a better third string quarterback and they got a better swing tackle. So I agree from that standpoint. And I don't have a problem with letting Fred walk, because they thought the draft was going to go in a different direction. They thought they were going to get a younger, day 1 or day 2 prospect that could ultimately, settle in as potential heir apparent to Lane and things like that, as they've been trying to do for a couple of years. So I don't have a problem. And Howie said, if you go back to his passion meeting from the draft, he said, what did he say? He said, well, I can find backups.
Right.
He wants guys with upside in the draft, and they took guys with upside, and some of them didn't work out. And he's proving what he said, he can find backups. But I think it's also emphasizing again, the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles is the top 20 or so players.
Oh yeah.
That is the strength. That's what makes the Eagles. And again, health is going to be so important because even though they got incrementally better, you don't want Fred out there for the season. You don't want Sam Howell out there. But yes, they got incrementally better.
John, the litany of moves yesterday, one thing sticks out. No defensive players added to a team where defense looks like it will be the weakness. Now, you mentioned you don't think they're done. I don't think they're done. And I think a lot of people in the chat and maybe all across the Philadelphia region don't think they're done as well. Maybe across the NFL world don't think they're done. Why no defense? And do you think defense is coming? And if so, where is it coming?
They're going to get an edge rusher.
I think you're right.
It's coming. And if it doesn't come, it's not due to a lack of trying. Again, you always need two to tango, but they're looking at an edge rusher, and it might be more impactful than people. I'm not talking about Micah Parsons or Trey Hendrickson, but it may be more impactful than people think.
Any names in mind?
No, but other than some of the obvious ones that were talked about before, I don't know where Trayvon Walker is with Jacksonville. There's some injury concern, but they're going to have to give up big time compensation for a player like that. And they might be at the position where they would be willing to do it, understanding where they are. So
wow.
You're talking about
you, John.
You're talking about you're going to pick 25th worst case scenario to 32 in the draft. Would you give up that pick for a player like that? I would.
Walker, how much would he change this season?
Oh, drastically. Everything fits into place, like I said.
Right. Then
you have the headliner. Nolan's number 2, Jalik's number 3. Everything fits into place.
I'm sensing good.
That would be the type of splash move. There's some other guys, injury concerns and things like that. There's a kid in Atlanta who's got some upside, and they're pretty deep, which is surprising because they never have edge rushers. So I'm not focusing on it. He would be the top sort of guy. Like, you're not talking about Hendrickson or
yeah, right. Yeah, but how close is he? I mean, shit, Hendrickson's going to make 35. Trayvon's going to make what, 25, 27?
I don't know. He's a
back-to-back double-digit sack years, doesn't he? And he's 24, 5 years old.
Yeah, plus he was the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
So people always are going to. Now, he makes, it's kind of splashy, as I said. And by no means, I think it's more likely that they go after the kid from Atlanta.
What's the kid from Atlanta's name?
Ebba something. He's
got that's why you're not saying it. I'm like, John normally says the names. Yeah. What's going on here?
Yeah. So, and Jacksonville is such a bad team. I don't know. I don't know why they would want to trade him, but there's some whispers. Jalen Phillips from Miami. Miami's going to be terrible. Now he's got a bunch of injury issues. You got to put a very productive player. I would be stunned if they don't do anything from the edge rushing standpoint. I've said it since March. No, probably not March, but I've said it since after the draft until today, and it'll go up to 4:00 tomorrow. If they go into this season with this edge rushing group, the plan has failed.
Well, the opportunity for trades isn't over tomorrow at 4, right?
Well, no, not technically. It's you go up to the trade deadline, but it's very unlikely you're making a splash move.
Right. 5 days before the season starts.
Yeah. So I would be, and again, levels to it. I just gave you the ceiling.
Yeah, I think that's the ceiling. I mean, that feels rich to me, John, with Nolan Smith looming as a contract, Jalen Carter looming on a contract. I don't know. Maybe you're thinking Nolan Smith's not a lock to get a contract here. It's possible. I don't think he's done everything.
Well, you talk about the honesty of Howie Roseman with his backup. It's the same thing with the starters. Like, he knows. He knows it's not good enough. And he doesn't stand still when it's not good enough.
Trayvon Walker, man, that would be an amazing move.
All right, I shouldn't even have said that name. Now everybody's going to say McMullen.
Well, no, they're not. I think you've prefaced it clearly by saying that's unlikely.
Have I?
Well, you said that's the top end of the move. I think when there's guys out there that are bigger, I can at least understand what you're saying, but that felt too rich for me. Like, I didn't think that was in the realm of where they would go. I'm sensing some Johnny Mac intel on why he went to Trayvon Walker, Johnny Mac. That's what I'm sensing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, there is no intel.
That's what I'm sensing, Johnny Mac.
No, there's intel about edge rusher in general. I'm just putting two and two together. Arnold Ebiketie.
Yeah, I saw him. Ebiketie or whatever it is.
Ebiketie, who's a Penn State guy, so that'll excite. At least for us, a Temple guy too. He went to Temple first, and then he ended at Penn State. So that'll probably excite Jeff Kerr, who's going to be on in a little while. But even if it's somebody like him, who's had 6 sacks as a situational guy past 2 seasons, they're doing something. And if they don't get something done,
move the needle. Trayvon Walker moves the needle.
Well, he moves the needle on this team. Like they're not good right now.
Yeah, but Ebiketie doesn't. He doesn't shift what you talked about, shifting everything into play. He doesn't. I don't think he jumps.
I think he might pretty quickly.
When he jumped Jalen, he'd be your second one.
I pretty quickly. Not saying because he's getting here so late.
Right. Well, if you traded for Trayvon Walker today, he's the number 1 edge rusher on the team, right?
Yes. Same with Jalen Phillips. Same with Trey Hendrickson. Same with Micah Parsons. But they're not getting Trey and Micah, so stop that. But Phillips is a very good player, but he's had a lot of injuries, so I think you have to be concerned about that. But something's coming, and if it doesn't come, it's not for a lack of trying.
So the Eagles are out there working right now on the edge rushers. Breaking news could be coming today, everybody. Keep your sights on the Philadelphia Eagles. When it's Howie season, Johnny Mac knows you don't sleep, all right? You got to keep one eye open and you keep your notifications on noise, all right? That's what happens in Eagle land. John, they also traded away Darian Kennard yesterday, the one move we had yet to talk about. I just mentioned it briefly, but your thoughts on that? I thought he was a guy that was actually going to be one of the depth pieces on the offensive line. I will say in preseason games, I continued to say on the postgame show, this offensive line depth doesn't look as good as I thought. So they make a move yesterday, bring in Fred and send out Darian Kennard. Your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it just became redundant once they picked Fred back up, because then that enables you to move Matt Pryor's your game day back up on the interior at guard, where he's more he's better. He had a good season at guard for Chicago. So, that knocks Kennard down to where he's not even going to dress on game day. Now, he would have made the 53-man roster if they couldn't get something for him, but they were able to get a 6th-round pick. So from the standpoint, they gave up a 7 for Fred. They got back a 6 for Kennard. So you actually got more for Kennard than they had to give up for Fred. And he wasn't going to be a game day active now that Fred's here, because Fred's the swing tackle. You're going to have Kendall as the backup center, and you're going to have Matt Pryor as the interior backup. So
that was a good couple moves then. I mean, they basically swapped Fred for Kennard and improved their draft pick.
Yeah. So that's the kind of how we, you got to look at things in the bigger picture, not a vacuum. So he actually got, Darian's a pretty good player, as Green Bay's.
Yeah, he improved the depth on the offensive line, for sure.
Well, you got better fits. I don't know if Fred's better than Darian, but they needed a tackle. They didn't need a guard. And they needed a left tackle, more importantly.
Right.
A backup left tackle.
Why do you think it didn't work out for Fred so quick in Jacksonville?
Well, I mean, he's a bench player.
Yeah,
I'll have to look up Jacksonville's situation. But yeah, I mean, they signed him to a minimum deal. And obviously that indicates he probably wasn't going to make the team. And it's just, sometimes teams are looking for a certain thing, and that's what you look for. You look for a team that is going to cut somebody. And from the Eagles standpoint, they can't just wait around. In the case of Fred, he's vested, so it doesn't matter. But they're also very understanding. They're 32nd on the waiver wire, so they can't wait around. So they have 1 million picks, so they're willing to give up day 3 picks to get incrementally better.
Yeah, and it feels like every time they give one up, they got another one coming back in. So they're really not even emptying the chest.
Yeah. So a lot of good to it. The bad to it is it indicates that this 90-man roster wasn't as strong as it was perceived to be by a lot of people.
I mean, we had Rick Saratello on Friday, John. He said they're the deepest team in the NFL, the most depth in the NFL. I'm like, holy shit, Rick. That's not what I was hearing all summer. But I'll take the commentary. We got Jeff Kerr in the green room. 3 trades yesterday, everybody, for the Philadelphia Eagles. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. will be the initial roster cut. So we'll get a lot of information about who the Eagles cut, or try and, maybe play some roster games with some players. I'm sure they will do that. And then 10 days from now, the banner will drop. The Eagles, under the lights, will take on the Dallas Cowboys to kick off the 2025 NFL season as a whole. So that will be a great opening night game next Thursday night. Let's go to our main man, Jeff Kerr, set to join us right here on Birds 365 on a Monday morning edition. Jeff, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Monday morning?
Happy first day of the 2025-2026 bowling season, Zander Krause.
Oh, bowling. We're going to talk bowling?
Oh, well, no, I just wanted to bring that up because tonight is opening night. So.
All right. I didn't even know they had an opening.
Me either, John. That's every day you learn something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big night. Fall's fun for me because you got bowling starting up.
Do they have like bunting, like baseball opening day? Is there bunting on the lanes?
Nah, they go over league rules and all that, all the fun stuff. But it's just one of those things. If you're a bowler, you kind of get the juice in today. We'll just put it that way.
Is Jeff Kerr going to throw out the first strike? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I do get fired up when the first ball I shoot is a strike. I will say that.
Right.
It's probably the most nervous I'll get the entire season.
All right.
Oh, gosh.
You
got to quell those nerves, Jeff. All right. There's game time players for a reason. I know you're a game time player. Let's quiet those nerves down.
Oh, it's like your first at bat of the baseball season. You want to get a hit, right?
Right. No, I get it. Jeff, couple moves yesterday for the Philadelphia Eagles. Preseason now in the rear view, roster cuts coming up, man. Eagles make 3 trades yesterday. Just your first reaction to what the moves that they made. They bring back Fred Johnson, get rid of Darian Kennard, and also bring in Sam Howell, who maybe not the best, but at least he's got some experience. Well, your thoughts on some of those moves, Jeff Kerr, and where the Eagles are today?
Yeah, he's best. Well, Sam Howell's better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Kyle McCord. So I gave the Eagles an A- for that trade.
A-.
Whoa. I agree, though. They definitely got better.
Because of the situation. They needed somebody. In my honest opinion, if you went into that season with Kyle McCord as your number 2 because Tanner McKee's thumb injury was going to keep him out, it's not a good situation. If anything happened to Jalen, you're kind of punting that game. So at least, and not saying Sam Howell's any good, but Sam Howell started, 21 NFL games in this league.
Here's my thing, Jeff. Look, Howie got incrementally better. And I said, I don't know if how quick you got in, but I said, look, I mean, the guy deserves all his flowers, best GM in football, all that kind of stuff. He's making moves to get the Eagles incrementally better. But, I mean, what does this say about the back end of your roster? that you're not willing to go with somebody you work with all spring and summer in favor of Sam Howell, who Kevin O'Connell, the guy working with, said, I don't want this guy. I want Carson Wentz. That tells me something. I can't give an A for that trade. I'll give a B minus for a third string quarterback. For a third string, because they got incrementally better.
Yeah, they're not going to hit on every pick. He's like a 6th round pick, dude.
But,
work out,
well, no, here's the thing. But Connor's going to be back by week 2 or week 3 at the latest. You can't. And Jalen Hurts is 99% sure to make it through that game, and nobody's going to give a shit, never see Sam Howell in Philadelphia. And you're still panicked enough to bring in Sam Howell? Yeah, I can't give it an A whatever you gave it.
I understand your point. I just looked at the situation of just for that 0.01% chance Jalen Hurts does get hurt. It'd be like I still think
you know what? Jalen Hurts gets hurt early in that game, you're losing the game. With Sam Howell, Cobb McCord.
Sam Howell took us to overtime in 2023. John, don't count him out just yet. All right?
I'm counting him out.
I think this franchise is still haunted by that playoff loss to Seattle when Carson Wentz got that concussion and they had to roll out their 40-year-old Josh McClown, who I think
McClown. You just called Josh. By the way, Josh McCown is the Vikings quarterbacks coach.
Yeah,
Carson's there.
He gave up on Sam Howell.
Yeah. Well, I think Kevin O'Connell did, but
yeah.
In the case of that game, remember Josh McClown. Boy, that's a random stray. Josh McClown, he played great in that game. Tore his hamstring. He did a phenomenal job.
That's why I laughed when I said McClown. I'm like, wait a minute, McCown. Like that was the point I was trying to make. He tore his hamstring. He played admirably in that game.
Yeah.
But
by the way, that guy's going to be a head coach. I guarantee it.
Yeah, he's a position coach somewhere, right?
Yeah, quarterbacks coach. Minnesota. That's why Carson's there.
I can't believe
Howell left because McCown just told him, get the hell out of here.
Well, now, like I said, I think that's Kevin O'Connell, but he's obviously the guy that everybody wants to work with.
But John, you bring up the depth on the 90-man roster that they bring in. Isn't that the price of winning? Isn't that the price of being a great team? People poach your players. You lose a lot of talent. You can't pay a lot of people. You got to prevail. You got to individually, I like the moves. Individually, Sam is better than, as Jeff mentioned, he's better than DTR. He's better than Kyle McCord. So he's going to be a third string quarterback. So ultimately, who cares? You get incrementally better. Fred Johnson, they didn't have a backup left tackle. So getting him back, they get incrementally better. They get a 6th-round pick for Darian Kennard because he's redundant now. So I like that. All the moves make sense from that micro standpoint. The macro stuff I'm a little concerned with because, again, I go back to this month. You're also bringing in Jacorian Bennett. Why? Because the corners weren't good enough. You're also bringing in John Mechie. Why? Because the receivers weren't good enough. It's a theme now.
The Timo offseason.
Yeah, the Timo offseason.
Yeah, but you also made a comment to me, in the last couple of weeks that from 20 to 50, and in this case, 20 to 90 maybe.
Well, that's
the same. Those teams are the same. I mean, they're not
I'm emphasizing that statement to say the Eagles are still the Eagles because of the top 20 players. And again, if things go wrong from an injury standpoint, they're going to have some issues. That's what I'm trying to say.
And
I'm trying to emphasize that point.
That's what I liked about all these moves. They're kind of covering their tracks, right? I was a little upset Fred Johnson didn't come back, or they didn't try to bring Fred Johnson.
They thought they were going to draft a tackle in the first 2 days.
And they did not.
And they didn't get it. Yeah. Well, the draft falls the way it falls.
Yeah, I mean, when you're operating the way the Eagles have this offseason, which is Temu, which is not being able to, sign or trade big players. They didn't make any big moves like they did a year ago with Bryce Huff and Saquon Barkley. And they're operating in that way. Then you have to get more creative in the ways you improve your odds at winning and advancing late in the year. And I think depth is one of the best ways to do it. And if you identify, a weakness and you can trade a couple of late round picks and shit, go and do it. And I get what you're saying, John. Maybe the 90 wasn't as good as it was cracked up to be, but They still improved it and maybe increased their odds at winning.
Well, that's where Howie does deserve credit, because he is always working and and he's honest. This ain't good enough.
I also like now you can stash a Miles Hinton on this 53. You don't have to keep a Matt Pryor or Darian Kennard because you're worried about your 53.
Oh, they're keeping Matt Pryor.
I know that, but now with a Miles Hinton around, you can do this, right? It's you don't have to worry about, do we have to worry about passing this guy through waivers? Well, that's not even an option. He's going to make the 53.
Yeah, Miles is. I don't think Cam is.
I don't think he is either. John, who did you have for your 10 offensive line? Did you go 10 offensive linemen for your?
Well, yeah, but I got screwed by Howie because I hit send, and then Darren Kennard trade came down.
Oh, EJ loved how I waited till like 11:30 last night to send that in.
So I was so frustrated. I was like, I got to get away from this damn computer, and I'm like, all right, he's got to be done. And as soon as I sent it, I even had to look up on Google how do you unsend. And I couldn't get it done.
Unsend an email. Nope, can't do it, Johnny Mac.
Well, you can for like 20, 30 seconds, but you got to do it right away. So, I sent it. I looked down and I said, fuck, because I had Kennard and I wanted to move. He would have made the team if they didn't trade him. But I would have moved to Keegan and I got screwed. It is what it is. By the way, I think we should have went with our 53s after the preseason game. I
agree with you.
Yeah, that would have been the hardest, and that would have challenged you guys the most, and would have created the most amount of.
And I advocated that at the game, and I was overruled. But whatever. Yeah, so I give my $5 to charity. All right, whatever.
I'm going to either win or lose this thing based on Kenyon Green. And I don't like banking on Kenyon Green, but
did you put him on your roster?
I put him on because I think they're arrogant enough to admit that they just did.
All right, I like that. I like that.
I appreciate you going out on a limb, but I don't think that guy's making the roster.
He shouldn't.
I see why you did it.
They are arrogant at times. Jeff is correct.
And I think that's how they're going to make Trevor Keegan expendable. I think it's. No, we just can't admit.
Well, I think Trevor Keegan is expendable, but once you trade Kennard, but that's interesting, Kenyon. You're right. There's a lot of hubris there. They don't want to say, "Hey, we got nothing for CJ," especially if CJ plays well.
Yeah, it's true. Especially, that's actually not a bad point by you, Kerr. I don't think he's going to make the team, but I hear where you're coming from.
He doesn't deserve to make the team.
No, exactly. That's the point, and I'm curious of how they're going to pick their edge rushers because I still think they're going to make.
There's one coming, man. Yeah, if there isn't, it's not for a lack of trying.
Yeah. John, who did you pick? Did you go 5 edge rushers?
Yeah, I put Patrick over.
What's I did?
APR because he was great against. They already cut Samuel Jackson. He was like their first cut, the Jets. So you always have to put it. He was phenomenal in that Jets game, but again, it's against a guy who's not going to be in the NFL, and he just didn't do anything during the summer. But I would be stunned if they don't trade for an edge rusher. I would be absolutely floored. He knows they're not good enough.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me they should trade for a cornerback. I said no, they did that. They need to
trade
for an edge rusher.
I said the same thing. I stopped answering people. They already did it. You may not like it because Bennett hasn't seized the job in one day, but they already made their move at cornerback. Edge rusher, they got to make their move.
All right, ready? Here's my proposed move. All right, John, this comes from you, and it might not happen. It probably won't happen, but I'll throw it out there. Trayvon Walker, let's bring him in, Jeff. Let's send our first round
I
pick.
Should not have mentioned Trayvon Walker.
Let's just talk it out here.
Jesus.
Let's send the first round pick next year. Let's bring in Trayvon Walker, and let's give him a 4-year extension for $100 million.
You're giving up a
$25 million a year. It would make him the 5th highest paid edge rusher.
I'm not giving him an extension.
You have
right
to.
Away.
Why trade for that guy for 1 year?
Why give him a first round pick to do that?
I'm not giving him an extension right away. Right away.
So you're waiting 1 year. Does he have? I guess he has this year and then the 5th year option next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would have 2 years. So you could wait the year, in theory. Price would go up. I mean, the edge rusher market is weird right now because there's a massive gap between the top and like the middle. Like you go from Max Crosby, who's the 4th highest paid edge in the league, making $35.5 a year. And then the next person is Montez Sweat at $24.5. That's a $10 million drop.
And
I think Trayvon comes well below Crosby, but above Sweat. I think $25 million a year is right on the number.
Yeah, I keep saying this. I know people don't want to hear it, but I've been banging the table for it. Just trade for Trey Hendrickson and give the guy what he wants.
No, I don't want Trey Hendrickson.
I do. I want a guy who can get pressure on the quarterback and get sacks, and that's what they need.
All right. Well, here's who they're going to get.
Yeah, exactly. They're not getting Trey Hendrickson.
Arnold Ebiketie.
Oh, the Temple kid or the Penn State kid.
Yes. Well, Penn State, I thought you would default to, but Temple, he was at Temple longer than Penn State, but he finished at Penn State. He's got everything. He's got the 34-inch arms. He's had production as a situational rusher. Arnold Ebiketie, what can you tell us about his 1 year at Penn State, Jeff? It turned him into a 2nd-round pick. It was the 38th pick in the draft.
And what Arnold Ebiketie, I remember when he came in from Temple, they weren't even sure if he was going to start. He was came from the transfer portal, obviously, and he started week 1. I'm trying to remember who they played, but he had like 2 sacks, I think, that week, and he just never gave up the job. And I really liked how he played against the run that season. I mean, for Penn State, you're right. It turned to a 2nd-round pick from the Falcons, and the Falcons were reaching for edge rushers at the time because they had the fewest sacks in the NFL since Vic Beasley led the league in sacks in 2016. And I don't know why it hasn't fully worked there, but he's not a bad player.
And they drafted, well, I think it has worked, but they drafted, I think, 2 edge rushers, James Pierce being one of them.
James Pierce is going to be good, by the way. I really like James Pierce.
Well, if James Pierce didn't have some issues, he would have been a top 15 pick. And then they drafted Jalen Walker as well. So I think it's one of those instances where they got too much at the position, and he's probably not going to play that much. And he's a pretty good player. And that's the guy I've been looking at. That's the type of player I've been looking at. And he's got some production. I brought up Gabe Murphy as well, but he hasn't played. This guy's played and produced.
You know what? Ebiketie's got more pressures than I realized. I knew he was
a good player.
Yeah, he is a good player, but I don't know what it is with the Falcons. It feels like a lot, especially over the last couple of years, probably because they changed defensive coordinators so much. Now they got Raheem Morris there. It just feels like a lot of their stats, even with their good players, are empty stats.
Wow, they probably are.
What about a guy like Keon White? People were bringing him up to me last night.
I mean, anybody.
Years old. He's like 6'5", 285 with the Patriots.
That's too big. Too big.
Yeah. No, I think John's spot on with the Ebiketie stuff.
Yeah, that's way too big. That's like a 5 technique for a big. They're looking for a pass rush.
I'll go a little further. Would you be surprised if Arnold Ebiketie started over Jalen Suggs?
Oh, no.
Yeah, John said that. He said that in the open. 2
weeks in, he'd be the starter.
So if you guys were, I know you don't think the Eagles are going to do it, but would you do it? A 1 for Trayvon Walker?
Oh, I would do it. But I mean, the Eagles are going to pick like 28th at worst case scenario. I mean, are you getting the 28th pick? Is it going to be as good as Trayvon Walker? No. So, yeah, I wouldn't even blink. But you know how GMs are with their first-round picks.
That's how I'm looking at it. Yeah, if we're playing the whole would you do it, then I think I would, but I'm trying to think in Howie Roseman's thing here, and he's probably like, what if I gave a second and a future 4 for something? Well,
I think actually what would come into play in Howie's eyes would be his thoughts on Nolan right now. I don't know what his thoughts on Nolan are. I mean, I think we all think Nolan's a good player, but it's hard not to think about the injuries and the durability with him.
That's my issue.
If you're going to pay him next year, what are you going to pay him? $20 million, $18 million like Josh Sweat, $25 million? I don't know. I mean, look, I think Nolan's a great player, but I think Howie's definitely thinking about that, obviously.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the durability. That's my biggest concern with Nolan Smith. I know he can play, but I mean, he's banged up pretty much the entire summer, dealing with shoulders, his triceps. How's he getting through 17 games plus the playoffs?
It's my issue with this team right now. It's on paper it's fine, but Nolan Smith gets hurt, Jalen Hunt gets hurt, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and Aziz Ojulari ain't helping you. Josh Uche might help you a little bit.
All right, so who they keeping right now at the edge room as it sits today? Might change. Obviously, probably will change pretty quickly. But
As of right now, Xander, this is the 5 I have. I have Uche, again, no particular order here. Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Patrick Johnson.
Okay, so you have
I got the same 5. Same.
Okay, so you kept Patrick Johnson too. Both of you went with him over the draft pick APR.
Yeah.
See, I pulled the Jeff Kerr on that, and I didn't put out an official prediction or anything like that with the beat reporters like you guys have, but I went with the Jeff Kerr line of thinking that they're going to keep the draft pick.
Well, he put together a great final argument if he was a lawyer against the Jets, but that's his only argument. He did nothing before that.
Yeah, honestly, he's a draft pick.
I would have kept Ogbo over him, over APR.
Yeah, Obo is not he's not making the team, but he made a, they might bring him back on the practice squad. And he would play above APR. I would say that if they bring, if worse came to shove, they would elevate him from the practice squad. If you're putting APR, it's another red shirt, basically. Like he's not playing. If you need him to play, you're going to elevate the veteran you put on the practice squad.
I feel like your red shirts this year are Drew Kendall and Miles Hinton.
I don't think Drew's a red shirt. I mean,
I feel like Drew was one of the most ready to play of the backup offensive linemen. I think the offensive lineman depth was that impressive this summer.
I mean, he's ready to play, but someone's got to be a game day inactive, right?
Yeah, he's going to be active. There are 5 starters. Pryor, Fred, Kendall are going to be your 8.
Okay. Yeah, I'll change my opinion on that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Pryor, Fred, and Kendall are your 3 backups there. That makes sense. That's about what I was thinking.
On game days, yeah.
On game days.
You're going to have a couple inactive. Miles is going to be inactive probably the whole season. And then whoever you keep, Trevor Keegan, whomever is going to be inactive.
Kenyon Green.
Well,
if Kenyon Green makes this team, I might do a fist bump.
You should. That's bold.
I'm gonna have a Jeff Kerr day on JAKIB Sports.
That's bold. That's how you win this thing, though, by being bold.
Yeah,
I like the thought of.
John, did you go bold anywhere? You've been telling me that's how you win for weeks, and you didn't go bold. It doesn't sound like.
He went bold. I think he went bold on a couple of moves.
I don't know. I didn't hear much.
Well, I went Cooper.
Oh, you did go Darius Cooper.
Yeah.
So did I. I went.
Well, Anaya Smith shit the bed against the Jets. I mean, I had to rewatch that damn thing.
Oh man!
He had 2 drops. He struggled as a punt returner. I mean, at some point, the dude just. I mean, they gave him plenty of opportunities, and he failed.
Yeah, he did. And when I did my initial, I only do 2 of these. I did one before when training camp ended, and I did one after the preseason game. And I changed quite a bit. I had Anias make it until that game, and I said, you know what? This guy just hasn't shown anything. I like the kid, just hasn't shown anything.
And by the way, they should cut him both.
Cooper was going to cost John because he was a little on the fence about putting him on the 53.
Well, by the way, they should cut him too. I mean, there's another indication of the weakness of the 90-man roster. He should not be on the team.
I feel like
they got to keep somebody.
I mean, you said a couple of weeks ago, John, this is the deepest of wide receiving groups ever been in the Nick Sirianni era.
Yeah, but the guys that can play, Terrace Marshall, Elijah Cooks, they're not going to keep because they can't help on special teams.
That's true.
They got John Mechie, Darius Cooper. Johnny Wilson's now out, which is
Well, I'm talking fifth. I'm talking fifth, sixth. Yeah, and part of it's Johnny's injury. But you see Johnny's injury. Like Johnny Wilson, everybody's like, oh, he's shit. He can't catch a ball in the Super Bowl. He get injured, it's crisis mode. It's like, what the hell? They got nobody to play that role. EJ Jenkins he's another guy who I was going to put on the roster, and he just started dropping the football over the last week. He had like 5-6 drops.
See, so who they keeping at receiver? How many receivers they keeping projected by you guys, and who are they?
You want to go first, Sean?
Yeah, I got 5, and I obviously the top 3, and then Mechie and Cooper are the 5 I kept.
Those are the 5 I had.
And you know, I'm gonna try to work out a deal with Marshall to get him on the practice squad, or Cooks, but I would prefer Marshall. But you know, and if they needed somebody to play, he's the guy you elevate from the practice squad would actually play. So I think that's the way they'll handle it.
I feel like the elevations would be him and Brett Tove if they did.
Yeah, Brett's another guy that's difficult. I didn't put him on the 53. He'll probably be on the practice squad. You know, at some point, Brett might say, you know what, let me go somewhere else. He tried it in Carolina for a little bit, but so it'll be interesting. But I'm sure Jeff Stoutland will bring it back. He might want to look at his options, but I'm sure.
All right, so in your guys' situation, though, who's the return man?
Well,
I have an idea of who it might be.
Remember who their best punt returner is.
It's Cooper DeJean.
Yes.
We're not I don't want to put him.
In the worst case, I think they'll start with Dodson.
That's what I'm going with.
But if worst comes to worst, they can just put Cooper back there. They did it all last year, so who cares?
I asked Jahan specifically this a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of giddy about the idea about potentially being the punt returner, and he wants to show the Eagles that aspect of his game because he knows he's not going to get the targets. So that's another way to showcase how valuable you are to a football team.
Yeah, so I think he'll get the volume returns. If there's a high leverage return, they might go to Cooper or Devontae even, who has done that in the past.
Yeah,
in really high leverage situations.
Devontae used to do it when they were pinned deep, right? And the return would be like
when they need a big return. Yeah,
Zander, you would know this better than I would. Didn't he do it in one of the national championship games?
I don't know if he did it in there. I don't remember that.
But he can do it. He wouldn't do it like consistently, but he can do it in high leverage. And then the kick returners are easy. I mean, you know, whether Will Shipley, I think, is going to be your main kickoff returner. And then you can they even had A.J. Dillon out there at times. Good,
I like how they've been doing the kickoff return with Shipley and Dillon just because it just creates a different dynamic.
Yeah, inside zone.
You're right, Jeff Kerr. Good pull by you, by the way. 2021 National Championship when Alabama beat the piss out of Ohio State. Devontae Smith had 12 catches for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game, but he also returned 2 punts and he returned a kick as well.
You know what? That's probably why I remember that, because Ohio State got their butts whooped.
They got their butts whooped, and Devontae Smith had 215 and 3 touchdowns on 12.
That's when Alabama.
He was a first-round pick.
That's when Alabama was Alabama. Nick Saban was still there.
I think at the time I said, and I hope the Eagles could get one of these big 3 receivers where I knew that Chase wasn't going to be it, but like, could you get Waddle or Smith? And they were able to get Smith. I was pretty happy.
By the way, there's a good SEC show on the Netflix now. Any Given Saturday or something, which is the worst title ever because they just Georgia and Alabama just beat the crap. But they just had I just saw the episode where Mandy upset Alabama.
Wait, I gotta look at that. Any Given Saturday, I see it.
Yeah, tremendous episode. They got this little 5'10" Latino quarterback. He is just a spark plug, Mandy, and they beat Alabama, which is like the biggest win in Vandy history. And they kept playing. You know, obviously Nick's not there, but he said something before the game that there's only one place that isn't tough to play in the SEC, and he said at Vandy.
I feel cheated in life. So when I was at 24/7 Sports, I went to, obviously their headquarters were in Nashville, and we were there for 5 days, and it was in November, and Vanderbilt was playing Florida, and I'd never been to an SEC game. And my friend, she's like, "Oh, I went to Vandy. How about we go to the game?" And I said, "Okay, we'll go." I had a miserable time because one, Vanderbilt got destroyed. Two, I'm used to Penn State and just big stadiums. So we go to Vanderbilt and the stadium's half full and kind of run down. It wasn't as fun. But I did get to see Florida, so that was kind of fun. But I was like, yeah, I saw an SEC game. Probably not the SEC game though. People recommend seeing it.
You got to get to a real SEC game.
My cousin went to Bama, Zander, so I need to go to Byron Denny at some point.
Well, I'm recommending it. I'm recommending that show. I just got done when the same week Arkansas upset Tennessee, who was like fourth.
I'm going to watch that, John. This is one of the downsides of me not being a TV watcher. I don't even know that shows like this exist because I never go on and see the advertisements.
And Vandy, you know, Clark Lee is their head coach, who went to Vandy, but you know, he was, you know, a big time. I think he was defensive coordinator at Notre Dame before Al Golden. So, and then he went back to his alma mater. They were over 500 last year. They're getting better, man.
Yeah,
they're not a doormat anymore.
No, they've made a lot of improvements to, like, I mean, the school was already top notch, but made a lot of improvements to NIL.
School's just a bunch of smart kids. School's unbelievable.
But overall, their athletic program, they started getting the NIL has helped them big time.
Yeah,
and they're starting to pour money in their athletic programs.
I mean, Alabama was number one coming into that game. Yeah. Number one in the country.
Loss,
and they got their doors.
Well, no, it's 40-35, but kid.
But for Vandy, that's
Jeff, you're right. In the Alabama world, people were saying they got their doors. Their doors blown off.
Yeah, they still had a chance to win.
Yeah,
so they didn't. But I mean, they played Missouri, who was number 7. They lost in 2 overtimes. They played Texas, who was number 5. They lost by a field goal. I'm telling you, they're coming. Vandy's not Vandy anymore.
Yeah, they could be a sleeper team. The playoffs were expanded this year. I know that we can go down a wormhole with this one, but I would consider.
I shouldn't have went down this wormhole because it's a big day in Eagles land, but it was a good show, so I'm recommending it.
Speaking of Zander is not non-TV watching. Zander, have you seen F1 yet? The movie?
No, the movie. No, I haven't seen the movie.
Go see it.
I watch the races. I watch the races though.
Go see it.
I've been watching more NASCAR since I went to NASCAR. That was like the highlight of my summer.
I love it. I love it, Zander. But you and I are going to have to go to a NASCAR.
I didn't show you any of my footage that I got from there. I was front row, man. I was like in such a cool spot. I don't know if Dirty Air's in here. One of our great viewers, Gary, who sent me down there. That was incredible. Me and my brother talk about it all the time. It's one of the best days of our summer.
Dover's got the All-Star race next year.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's kind of a downgrade for them, but it means North Wilkesboro, which is an historic track on the circuit's getting a points race. So I plan on going to vote for them next summer.
Very good. All right, guys, I want to ask you about another spot of the roster here. Cornerbacks. Who they keeping? How many? What are you guys projecting? Because I don't know. I joked on Twitter, and I joked, all right? I joked. It's amazing how many people can't take a joke. I even put the little laughing emoji so people knew I was joking. I said, can Perry Nickerson play the slot, everybody? But who you guys got at cornerbacks for this team coming into the year?
All right, I'll go my 6. So we'll do our usual suspects here. Jacorian Bennett, Dory Jackson, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Okay, they're the 4. I know some people say Kaylee Ringo should be cut. I don't believe that. He's too valuable of a special teamer. I don't care how he did this summer. He was always making the team. And what's my 6th?
Mac McWilliams.
Yeah, Mac McWilliams. Thank you. I was like, they're my 6.
Exact same 6. That's who's making the team.
Yeah.
Now there's a small chance that Ringo could get traded. They're not cutting him, to Jeff's point, but I could see them moving on, especially if they like somebody else playing gunner. But he is a very good special teams player. They're not cutting him. They might, if they have to trade him to get something of value, edge rusher, they might trade him, but they're not going to cut him. And in that case, I don't know if somebody can, to your point, Barry Nickerson only plays slot. That's one of his problems. Obviously, again, he can line up outside, but he's not going to be effective. He's a slot player. That's all he is.
Kick DeJean outside and put Perry in the slot.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Absolutely not.
And Vic does like Perry, so
everybody likes Perry. But I mean, come on. People got to realize who was playing in that game against the Jets.
Yeah, no, I get it. Still a nice interception by him, by the way.
Yeah.
John,
great interception by Lewis Seen.
Yeah, that's true.
They got hurt.
Yeah, got hurt again. He was hurt, came back, and he got hurt again. And by the way, he was waived injured. So for all the Lewis Seen, why aren't you talking about Lewis Seen? There was nothing to talk about.
No, yeah. He got waived yesterday, right?
Yeah. He'll waived injured, so he'll be back on injured reserve, and then they'll have to work out an injury settlement.
One thing I enjoy about that last preseason game, and someone pointed out to me on X, and I didn't do it this year because I was kind of preoccupied watching that in the Phillies, but like normally I usually tweet out anything else I'd rather be watching but that preseason game. And it's usually a hit. I didn't do it this year.
Yeah. Well, I had to go to the game, so imagine that horror.
How was the traffic?
Oh, it wasn't bad because nobody showed up.
Yeah,
it was bad for about
a pregame show. We're like 10 minutes before the game. There's not. It sounds like there's crickets around.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, there's about 10 people in this.
Was Jody Mack one of the 10?
No, he would never go to a preseason game. But there was, typical New York traffic. You get about 8 miles. Everything was fine. I got like 8 miles from the stadium, and then it's just because you got all the people trying to get to George Washington Bridge as well.
Yeah, it's New York. It just feels like New York once you get up there.
So, and it was the start of rush hour pretty much, 4:30. So it was a cluster for the last 8 miles, but everything else. And then getting out was easy as pie. Even it would have been if I left right after the game. Obviously, we got to stay for the locker room and all that stuff. So, I mean, it was easy getting out. Nobody came.
I'm scared to death for 10 days from now. I'm scared to death.
You better get there early, Jeff. Yeah. You better get there early.
My perpetual hell, guys. I'm telling you, if I'm stuck in hell, it's going to be I'm stuck in my car on the Blue Route or on the Schuylkill Expressway, and I can't get out of the car. I'm just stuck in traffic all day long.
Traffic completely changed when COVID rolled around. It's like rush hour is like an hour early.
Oh my God. It's like,
I don't think people work on Fridays anymore. The Thursday night traffic is insane. Friday at like 11 a.m. there's traffic. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But that's just the nature of the beast now. All right, Jeff, one more day until cutdowns, 10 days until the home opener at the end of preseason, at the end of training camp. Has your thoughts on the Eagles 2025 season? Are you more optimistic, less optimistic, neutral? How has it changed in the last 3-4 weeks of this team's offseason?
I feel a lot better about this team today than I did yesterday just because of some of the moves they made to cover their tracks.
That's crazy to me. Come on, Jeff.
I worry about injuries because injuries happen in the National Football League. But I still think they're a Super Bowl contender.
Don't let John bully you off your point.
If you have to play Sam Howell, you're screwed.
I know you're screwed, but
all right, but where are you more screwed with? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith with Sam Howell or with Kyle McCord?
Kyle McCord, definitely.
So
I go to Tom Moore. If Jalen gets hurt, we're fucked, and we don't practice fucked. So I don't care if it's Kyle McCord. By the way, Kyle McCord will be better playing with Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata instead of who he's playing with. And I mean, look, they got incrementally better. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, but this is the problem with me, John. This is what's stuck in my brain. Dad says, I watched Sam Howell.
You got to get over that.
Against
I
Sean
watched
Desai.
it too, Daz. We went to overtime versus fucking Sam Howell.
Well,
I couldn't believe that game.
You know, John, a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Ed Kratz, said to me in the press
Ed
box,
loves Sam Howell.
Oh yeah, he told me he was going to be a star in this league.
We got to get Ed on this week.
Ed probably thinks Sam Howell should start over Jalen Hurts now. I'm joking, but
Ed does do overreaction pieces.
Look, you got to get over one game. The guy threw for almost 4,000 yards in that season. He also won 4 games. They were 4-13. And guess what? When he lit up the Eagles, Vic Fangio wasn't here. I guarantee you that.
It was a Sean Desai defense. In fact, Sam Howell made my prediction complete. Sean Desai just didn't have it.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on. I get it, but that doesn't translate into everything else. And one of the best quarterback gurus, supposedly the best, said, you know what? I want Carson Wentz over this guy. If that ain't a red flag, I don't know what is. But all that, they got incrementally better.
I feel better about the Fred Johnson deal than anything else.
Well, Fred's, again, they didn't have somebody to play left tackle. Kendall Lamb is just not healthy. He had off-season back surgery. He's probably going to retire if I had to bet. Matt Pryor's not comfortable on the left side, so they didn't have a swing tackle, and they got incrementally better, no doubt about it.
So,
but again,
here's my question right now: who starts at left guard if Landry Dickerson can't play Week 1?
This is here we go. SMD checked in. She said, if Dickerson misses time, would they move Steen to left guard and play Pryor at right guard?
Yes, if it were long term.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's not going to be long term. So they're not going to make that move for 1 game or 2 games. If Landon was out for the season, yes, they would move Steen to left guard and play Pryor at right guard. They will try to persevere if he misses a game or 2. And it might be Brett Toth getting elevated from the practice squad. It might be Drew Kendall.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because John, you and I were the two that caught Drew playing left guard that second preseason game.
Yeah. And he did it again in the final preseason
Yeah, he
game.
did.
So they're trying to cross-train him. But yes, they would make that move if Landon was done for the season with the full meniscus repair, but they trimmed it and he'll be back.
Before they traded Kennard, I would have
Kennard would have been in the conversation.
Yeah, I would have said on the show that'd be my bold prediction today. Darian Kennard will be the starting left guard Week 1.
Yeah. Wouldn't have
so are we
surprised
thinking
me.
it's going to be Toth? Is that the best guess for Week 1 if Landon?
I think it's going to be Landon.
You know what? I'm kind of with John on that. I think Landon's going to find a way to play.
I just don't know if it's at all a rush. I don't think they would do it.
They shouldn't
now,
have
if it's not a rush at all and he's completely ready, then yeah, he's going to be out there.
But I got news for you. There's nobody in the history of the world should get a meniscus trim unless the goal is to play
football.
Football. So they're already not being cautious.
Yeah, there's 2 ways to heal a meniscus, and trimming is not one of them.
Yeah.
So you guys saying after this season he's getting another surgery?
No, not necessarily.
No, he doesn't have to. It can heal on its own.
Oh, it can. All right, but it just takes probably a long time.
Yeah. But you for the average human like us, you wear a knee brace.
Yeah. You don't even have to get surgery. But if you're playing football, you should probably get surgery. But anyway. So I think Landon's going to play Week 1. If not, they'll persevere with probably elevating Brett Toth or even playing Drew Kendall as a rookie. They'll try to get through a week with that. But yeah, if he got the full repair and he was out for the season, yes, they would have moved Steen already. Would have moved him to left guard and play Pryor at right guard.
We'll see. Plenty of stuff here to talk about. Jeff Kerr, thanks for doing it today, brother. We appreciate you being here. Cut down day tomorrow and 10 days out from the Eagles opener. Thank you, SMD Eagles, for the super chat today. Jeff, your final thoughts before we let you run, brother. Great segment today. We appreciate you doing it.
Hey, anytime, Zander. By the way, I got my overreactions piece out today on CBS Sports of the preseason. Obviously, I do this every week, but I think Eagles fans will like this one because I kind of ripped the Cowboys pretty good today.
Well, how could you not rip the Cowboys?
Well, this is what I said. The Cowboys know they're not going to be good, which is why they're dragging this Micah Parsons thing out.
Jerry's a lunatic, man.
He is. So he's almost so much of a lunatic, you got to respect the game.
Yeah.
He's so committed to his lunacy.
He's very savage.
Yeah, he is savage.
I mean, he's a great businessman. Hall of Fame businessman. He's not a Hall of Fame football executive.
No.
By the way,
he cares to be. I don't think he even wants to be.
By the way, guys, I finally rewatched the Super Bowl, and I rewatched it for other reasons. And
look at Saquon.
No. Okay, so this is what I've always
that game.
enjoyed as someone who does like the entertainment value of football. And I've actually talked to Tony Romo about this. I enjoyed when Tony Romo was dating Carrie Underwood and Jessica Simpson when they showed him succeeding and failing. This is the problem I have with today's society. Show Taylor Swift when her boyfriend fails.
What are we talking about Taylor Swift for? I don't get
because they show her all the time, which I'm fine with, but show them other times, not when he's scoring a touchdown.
I don't watch much football, to be honest. And when I usually get to rewatch it, I usually go to Game Pass. So I'm not paying attention to the Taylor Swift effect. But boy, people get upset by that.
I'm one of those people because I feel like you should look. I love it. I love how Taylor Swift's a football junkie. I love the New Heights episode.
She's where's she from? Reading?
Why missing? Yeah. Or as Ross Tucker likes to say, he's the second most famous person from.
Yeah. So she's a local gal, although she turned on the Eagles. But you have to.
I never thought she was an Eagles fan to begin with. She's a Phillies fan.
Ross Tucker speaking of Ross, he committed a rippable offense on the
the whole Jake the Make thing.
I'm like, dude, Jake the Make. I've been hearing that for 8 years. What are you talking about?
I think they called him Jake the Make
the whole way. I'm like, Ross, I'm sorry, I didn't buy that for one. He's like, how about Jake the Make? Has anybody made that a phrase? Let's start calling him Jake the Make. And he like said it on the air like he was almost trying to.
Ross doesn't pay attention to.
No, he has heard Jake the Make. I didn't buy that for 1 second. Ross,
I don't know, man.
He does a great job.
I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't know. He might not have
Ross is going to be at the first game. He's calling the game for Westwood 1.
Ross is always there doing well. He does the Eagles stuff, obviously, but he's normally at home games. I think he does the WIP pregame show.
Yeah,
he's always there very early. I can't beat Ross to Lincoln Financial Field.
I can, but he also knows the drive I take too. So it's part of the game. But usually I'm in line with him when we're getting food, and I just love watching Ross tape tuck spreads.
Yeah, he and Jimmy are my two favorite food critics. So there you go.
Ross loves food and beer.
Yeah,
that's why I can't hate him.
That's fair. Jeff, thanks for being here today, brother. We'll catch up with you next week. Thank you, man.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All
right, thanks, Jeff. Get ready for 16 more stories today. It's coming.
Oh, yeah. Eagles are going to – you think they're making more moves today, John?
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's over by any stretch.
So
it could fall to tomorrow, but
so get my breaking news graphics ready is what you're telling me.
Unfortunately.
I think it's fortunate, John. It's a beautiful day to be alive, Johnny Mac. Come on, man. Cheer up, Johnny Mac. How he's shaking and baking.
You don't understand how much stuff I got to do when he does this stuff.
I can fathom it to some extent. I got to do a lot of shit too.
Yeah. So, but I think more people are willing to trade. So, but this is even for Howie. This is extensive already. And it's not over. So, there's all the good stuff, but there's some bad in there as well, because he's already brought in 4 players, and remember, there's that part, the Eagles talk up their culture, rightfully so. It's always that part, and CJ during one of his rants talked about it when he was brought in late. The other guys are like, oh, what the F? We're working our asses off all spring and summer. So there's that part of it as well. Little things. It's not all peaches and cream. Try to bring both sides into it.
Let's get to our first commercial break today. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. We've got a great crowd in here on a Monday morning. Johnny Mac, a cut down day tomorrow, 10 days out from the Eagles opener, preseason in the rearview mirror, training camp in the rearview mirror. Now time for the good stuff that's coming up right in front of us. We'll be covering it here on Birds 365. For those who are new, for those listening right now that are not familiar with the show, we're live 8 to 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday on Birds 365, talking about this team, breaking down everything soup to nuts with this football team. So appreciate you being here. Hit that like button. Drop your comments down below. All super chats go to the top. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back on Birds 365.
The following is a presentation of JAKIB Sports.
If you're a small business owner or you work for a company that loves the birds, you need to react fast before we've used up our entire ticket allocation. And here's why. In celebration of JAKIB Media's new partnership with Savvy Seats, JAKIB Media will give you a pair of VIP tickets for any game on the 2025 schedule, home or away. And we'll give your company or your boss a 20-week media sponsorship package across the #1 digital network for Eagles coverage, JAKIB Sports. And that includes all of our game day coverage. Cost for your business or company? About $50 a week. Let's recap everything. 20-week sponsorship package on JAKIB Sports, including commercial spots, live reads, and liners. Inclusion in all of our game day coverage, including the soon-to-be-announced Green Zone, and a pair of tickets to the home opener or any game on the 2025 regular season schedule. Remember, that's home or away. If you're in Kansas City and you want to go to the game against the Chiefs, no problem. If you live in Florida and you want to go to the game in Tampa Bay at the end of September, no problem. Text Krause at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And remember, do it quickly before this incredible gift is gone. JAKIB Sports and Savvy Seats put you right in the action with VIP seating as we are proud to announce our partnership for the 2025 season with Savvy Seats. Text Krause right now at 267-261-3428. That's 267-261-3428. And pick your game today. If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Monday morning edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give us follows on X at Zander Krause and at JF McMullen, breaking down the Eagles offseason, which is now in the rear view. And we are officially 10 days away from the Philadelphia Eagles home opener, or the season opener. It's the NFL opener, really, Thursday night, Eagles versus Cowboys. The banner will drop at the Lincoln Financial Field in 10 days from now. Cut down day is tomorrow, so the initial 53-man roster will come out tomorrow at 4 p.m. John, we've got about 44 minutes left on today's show, and I do want to kind of run down your 53 as it stands today. Might change a lot after the show, which is kind of the problem, but we can talk about where some changes might happen. But 10 days out from the opener and 1 day out from that 53-man roster cut. John, the NFL season is here, my friend.
Yeah, can't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned. September 4th, Dallas Cowboys, Eagles. As you mentioned, I got to pay attention to the banner drop this time. So obviously that'll be an exciting day for Eagles fans. I do think they're well prepped to beat Dallas Cowboys team. I'm not terribly high on this year. I think they'll be better than they were last year, but too many issues, too many self-inflicted issues as well from their standpoint to compete with the Eagles, who are a good team. It's just a matter of how good.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. We'll see how they're able to prevail this season. One thing I always love about the NFL season is the unknown. You never know how it's going to unfold. You never know what's going to happen that changes the trajectory of a season, and a lot of luck is involved, John, no doubt about it, when you have injuries and all these different things at play. John, let's start to talk about that 53-man roster. We just kind of kicked it around with Jeff Kerr. 3 trades yesterday for the Eagles have changed it a little bit. You mentioned you put Kennard in, sent the email, and minutes later, he's gone. So it will change, John. But let's start on the offensive side of the ball. All right, quarterbacks, I think, is an easy place to start. Give me the 3.
That's pretty easy. Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Sam Howell. As I said, there was some consternation. I think NFL media put out Tanner was likely to start on injured reserve. All indications are that is not the case. He is not going to be out 4 games. So they're going to carry him until he's ready. So Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, and the newly acquired Sam Howell are your obvious quarterback depth chart. I do believe they will try to get Kyle McCord back on the practice squad. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I think, is going to move on.
With as far as Tanner McKee goes, John, I know you don't think IR. I don't either. But what do you think? Well, do you think he'll be back week 2, week 3, week 4? Like, that is a weird injury. And I will say, national media, yes, but you also told me after the preseason game, he wasn't. He didn't really take his hand out of his pocket, which kind of made.
No, he didn't. And you know that put week 1 on alert. Very doubtful that he's going to be the backup against the Cowboys. That's why Sam is here. But yeah, I would be stunned. Typically, I don't get lied to. I would be stunned if he's placed on injured reserve to start the season.
I don't think injured reserve, but do you think he could miss the first 2 games? You know,
sure.
Maybe
Yeah. The only thing he will not miss 4 games. That is the Eagles' belief. So,
right. Or else
I mean, he broke the tip of his thumb, which obviously is more concerning than an index finger or a pinky.
And his throwing hand as well, right?
Throwing hand, yeah. So, and he was very cautious with it at the game, trying to protect it at all costs. So definitely don't think he's going to be there to be the backup against the Cowboys. Definitely think he's not going to miss 4 games is where I am with Tanner McKee.
All right. So those are the 3 quarterbacks. I think we all expected those to be the guys, and probably McCord to the practice squad, right?
Well, we didn't expect Sam Howell to be the guy, but he is now.
But after the trade, I think that's what we all knew it would be. And then probably McCord to the practice squad, assuming he gets through.
Yeah, and I think he will because he didn't show much. So I don't think that should be an issue.
Yep, I agree with that. John, moving into running backs, how many are they keeping and who are the names? I think 3 probably, right?
Well, 3 unless you consider fullback. So depending if you want to split that, 3 or 4. Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, A.J. Dillon, Ben Van Sumeren, the fullback, are going to make the team. And I do think they will try to bring Montrell Johnson back on the practice squad. Is how I think they would want to go forth this season.
He had a decent preseason, Montrell Johnson. We'll see if we get him back to the practice squad. John, moving on, you mentioned the fullback already with Ben Van Sumeren. Let's go to that offensive line. This is where I get gets a little interesting with how many offensive linemen they could keep. Obviously made some moves yesterday with Kennard out the door, bringing in Fred Johnson. I think the 5 starters are obvious. All right. Mailata, Dickerson, Juergens, Steen, and Lane Johnson. After that, John, who do you got on this offensive line room? How many are they keeping, and what are the names?
Well, I think they'll keep 10. Pretty confident on the first 9. Matt Pryor, Drew Kendall, Fred Johnson will be the game day backups. Miles Hinton will be the red shirt player.
Okay.
Then you have that 10th spot. That could go to Brett Toth if you just want to be straightforward. It could go to Trevor Keegan. It's not going to go to Cam Williams. It's not going to go to Holland Pierce. So, they could try to elevate Toth early in the season, put him on the practice squad. So that could be a place they manipulate a little bit. I do think they want to get Cameron Williams and Holland Pierce on the practice squad, and they'll probably try to get another offensive lineman who can play center. So I don't know if they want to keep both Toth and Keegan on the practice squad, but if they keep one on the regular roster, they'll try to get the other on the practice squad.
So some optionality there and what different ways they can go. Pretty cool that you think they're going to put that Rutgers kid on the practice squad. He was obviously fighting an uphill battle with as many offensive linemen that they had, but that'd be cool to get him on the practice squad.
Yeah, and I think they will. He didn't play that well in the preseason, so I don't, and he was undrafted to begin with, so I don't think anybody's going to give him a 53-man spot. That's what you have to do if you claim somebody on waivers. So if the Eagles want him, they'll be able to get him on the practice squad.
Yep. Good stuff there. John, moving into let's go tight ends first. All right. How many are they keeping here? And then the names you got there.
Well, I got him keeping 3 this year because I do think Conlon Granson deserves to make the team. Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, obviously 1 and 2. EJ Jenkins, really poor finish to the summer. Bunch of drops. But I do think they'll try to bring him back on the practice squad again, see if they can get his confidence back up, because they do like his value as a blocker. He's turning into a pretty good blocker, and that might be more important with no Johnny Wilson. So I do think they'll try to continue to work with him, but just didn't do enough to make the team.
So 2, probably 3 there. We'll see. Last year they kept 2, right?
Yeah, they kept 2. I don't see – well, the problem there is I don't see the need to keep an extra offensive lineman to make those gesticulations. I don't see the need to keep an extra defensive lineman. That's typically if they want to go really heavy and keep somebody off waivers up front on both sides of the football, they typically play those games. And then they would try to get Granson on the practice squad and elevate him for the first 3 games, then put him on the roster. But I don't see the need to do it at this stage.
All right, we'll see what they end up doing there. Johnny Mac, good stuff. Let's keep going here. Wide receivers. How many do we got at wide receiver, and who are the names? We just talked about this with the 6, but let's recap down here for this segment.
Yeah, I got him keeping 5. Obviously, AJ, Devontae Jahan, John Mechie, and Darius Cooper, I think, deserves and that's part of the thing. When you get an undrafted kid who produces, you want to send a message and say, oh, look, if you do what you're supposed to,
right,
we'll keep you around. And I think they'll put a bunch of guys on the practice squad. Another undrafted rookie, Taylor Moore, and I think he's done enough. And then the other guys are going to be interesting. There's going to be one vet, so could be Terrace Marshall, could be Elijah Cooks. Avery Williams is a guy I haven't mentioned. He hasn't done enough to make the team in my mind, but they like him as a core special teamer. He could be a kick returner with Will Shipley and could help out at punt returns if they want to go the elevation route for the first couple of weeks. You think about what they did with Britton Covey early. Elevate him early in the season. When they run out, then you put them on the 53. So don't forget about Avery Williams. He might start on the practice squad.
We'll see about that with those guys at wide receiver. That wraps up the offensive side of the ball. Johnny Mac, interesting there, because I was reading a couple of the other beat guys this morning before the show and their 53-man projections. I think was it Kemsky? I think it was Jimmy Kemsky who had Dillon getting cut, AJ Dillon getting cut.
Same thing, same philosophy. I've seen a few people do that. Same, because he's vested,
right?
So he doesn't have to go through waivers. So
got the injury concerns. I don't think teams are going to claim him or anything. So yeah.
Well, they can't claim him. That's the point. He's vested, so he becomes a free agent. So that's where you can do the wink deal. And how
right. Come on back,
yeah. So he's a candidate, but I think he's done enough to make the team. And again, I don't see the position where they want to go really heavy. Earlier, I thought maybe receiver, but it just didn't manifest itself. Offensive line, I thought they had a bunch of guys they're going to get well. Turns out they didn't play that well. Defensive front, I think they're keeping people they don't want to keep if they don't make a deal. So I don't see the need to do it as much this year.
We'll see what they do. John, let's move into that defensive side of the ball. We'll start on that defensive front. Let's start with the interior of the D-line. Who you got? How many they keep in there, and what are the names?
I think they're keeping 6, so they're going deep on the interior. Jalen Carter, Moro, Jomo, Jordan Davis are obviously the top 3. Byron Young, I think, is 4. So he's a guy I think that will surprise some people. Ty Robinson is here. He's going to redshirt. He's not going to be active. And then Gabe Hall would be so I think they're going to go pretty deep on the interior of the defensive line.
So rattle those names again. You got Carter, you got Davis, you got Ajomo, obviously, Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and who was the 6th?
Byron Young.
So you got them keeping both.
Yes. And I think Byron Young is really 4 of that group. He is the 4th interior defensive player.
Yeah, I think Ty is like 4 by default, but not the 4th player on the field is kind of what you're saying.
No. Oh, yeah. He's not going to play early or maybe the entire season.
All right. 6 is a lot for the interior, John. What do you got at the edge? How many?
5, as we said, but I think something's going to be done here. Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, Patrick Johnson. I do not think Azeez deserves to make the team, but he's, he has to at this stage, unless the Eagles get something done. And, it's difficult after Powell Ronlin showed up against the Jets and, maybe he pulled an Eli Ricks and boxed the last 30 seconds of the round and convinced Howie somebody might keep him. Somebody might claim him, but otherwise he'll get to the practice squad and they'll continue to work with him that way. I also think they'll bring back O'Shawn Mathis on the practice squad as well on the edge.
We'll see what they do there. That's interesting. A lot of defensive linemen, John, on this team. John, let's go linebackers. Who do we got? How many they keep in? What do you think they do at that position?
Yeah, that's the easiest position. Zach Bond, Jihad Campbell, Jeremiah Trotter, Junior Smile Munden. Obviously, N'Kobe will start on the PUP list. So that was easy. And they'll Lance Dixon, they'll want to work on the practice squad, and they'll get him through waivers, so it won't be a problem.
Good stuff there, John. Let's move to the secondary. Let's go safety first. Who do you got? Who do you have them keeping there? How many?
Only 4: Reed, Sidney Brown, Drew McCuba, Tristan McCullum. Part of the reason you're only keeping 4 is because you're keeping 6 corners, and Cooper can play both. So the versatility of Cooper DeJean helps. But as far as listed safeties, it'll be Reed, Sidney, Drew McCuba, and Tristan McCullum.
And then 6 corners you just mentioned. Who are they?
Quinyon, Adoree Jackson, Cooper, Keely Ringo, Mac McWilliams, Jacorian Bennett are your 6 corners. Bunch of good backups. Don't know if you have a starter opposite Quinyon. That's the issue there. I do think they'll try to bring Andre Sam back at safety on the practice squad. Maxon Hook potentially as well. Brandon Johnson and even Eli Ricks at corner. If they can get those guys back to the practice squad.
All right. So what do you think of that? What do you think of that 53 you just laid out?
I think the top 20 is really good. Top 20 or so. Yeah, not as deep as the hope was coming into this process. And I think that's evident by what they've done. I again, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. And they have indicated, well, we don't think the depth was good enough. And that continues at, edge defender, most notably. I think they're fine from a depth standpoint. A lot of people talked about corner. I think they're fine from a depth standpoint. The problem is you got to find a starter on the outside opposite Quignon. That's the issue. Got two redshirt players, Miles Hinton and Ty Robinson, who probably aren't going to play. So, and certainly if you were to grade the positions, I would say the weakest remains edge rusher. Safety might be a close second because I think you just have a bunch of guys after Reed with some upside with Drew, but other than that, I think it's just okay. But I think what sticks out like a sore thumb right now is edge rusher, and I do think Howie will get something done.
A lot of fans, John, still clamoring for secondary players, cornerback, safety. Last night I did a poll in the chat on my live show of, corner, edge, safety. If you can only trade for one, who you trading for? I think corner won out a little bit over the edge rusher.
I mean, they already made their move at corner, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you. And, I think it might work out. It's just not going to be week one. I just got here. But they already made their move at corner. You're not getting a Pro Bowler. I saw somebody tweeted, "Bring back Slay." You're looking for a guy with upside. They got a guy with upside. They already made the move.
Guy with up. I mean, I don't know. I get why people are saying it, but I don't know exactly. I don't know if they would rest on their laurels because they made a move for Bennett. I mean, it was a pretty simple trade for Ja'Cory Bennett. It wasn't like they sent that much to get him. They sent Thomas Booker.
Well, they didn't send that much to get anybody. Everybody's excited about the trades yesterday.
So I don't think it would stop them from making. I mean, they made 2 tackle moves yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it would stop them.
Well, they gave a lot more for Ja'Cory Bennett than those deals yesterday. Because Booker was a rotational player. So it was a more meaningful trade than even the Mechie trade from that standpoint. Because Harrison Bryant wasn't going to make.
I mean, I guess in theory, John, if you improve the edge, you are helping your secondary as well because you'll get pressure better.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a guarantee at this phase either. That's why I like Trayvon Walker because look, I understand the guy from Atlanta that you're saying Ebiketie, but does he make a difference? I mean, I think he'll make a difference, but does he make a difference that helps your secondary, that makes life easier on the? I don't know if he does. I think he's a better rotational piece.
Well, I think he's your second best edge rusher. The minute he walks into the door. So yeah, I think it makes you better.
Trayvon Walker he sounds worth it to me. I don't even know if they're willing to move him at this point. Is there any more talk about that from them or no? I know they picked up the 5th-year option, didn't they?
I believe so, but
yeah, I believe they did a couple months ago.
Yeah. But from the standpoint of look, I mean, evidently people don't believe in Ja'Cory Bennett. I think they do. So I'm not saying they're right, but they've already made their move at cornerback. And it might be wrong, but that's what's going on. And remember, they do have the safety net of playing Cooper outside if everything goes wrong. Cooper's the break glass in case of emergency everywhere in the second.
Yeah, right. And what is your thoughts on safety right now? I mean, I know corner obviously has what it has. They've already traded for Ja'Cory Bennett, but safety is kind of a question too. I mean, Sidney Brown and Makuba are battling for one spot, and neither of those two guys are proven players. We're putting a lot on Reed Blankenship this year.
Yeah, well, they've always put a lot on Reed, so that doesn't change. He's the leader of the secondary. That he was last year. I think people just didn't realize it. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't change for Reed. Reed has the same role he had last year. He just doesn't have a playmaker next to him. And maybe he does if Drew can stay healthy. But obviously last year you had the nice complementary nature of a guy who's just fundamentally sound with this big playmaker. And I thought that was a good compliment. And that's what they're trying to recreate with Drew. Whether they get there or not remains to be seen. Obviously, number one, he's got to stay healthy, and he's got to prove he can hold up. CJ really built up his body. He's another one of those guys. And I think people don't realize just how big and physical he was at the end.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Definitely some concerns on this defense, but overall, I mean, I feel like you're in a decent position, but a lot has to go your way, as it does every year. I mean, that's kind of the case everywhere in the NFL, but it is interesting to think about, this defense coming in, John, because the defense was such a big part of the team last year, and just a lot of change from one year to the next on that side of the ball.
Yeah. I've been talking about it all spring and all summer. A lot of really good defensive players left in the offseason. And that's part of it. I mean, timing, all the offensive players are getting paid. So, it'll start to shift with Jalen Carter and then Nolan coming, and then Cooper, and then Quinyon, yada, yada, yada. So it'll start to change. But ultimately, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams got overpaid, but they're good players. Isaiah Rodgers got overpaid, but he's a good player. Slay was a cap casualty. Make no mistake about it. They didn't want to go 2 years for Oren Burks even. 1 year they would have thought about bringing him back. So most of it was the business of football. Nobody's saying they were bad players.
Right.
Just the business of football. You have to allocate your assets. That's the trick.
How good of a spot are they in right now moving forward?
Well, I think they're still one of the top 5 teams in football. So if you're in that conversation, you have a chance. Again, you have to stay healthy. And they've been healthy compared to other teams. So they seem to be approaching things the right way. But yeah, I mean, the key guys, that top 15, 20 have to stay healthy. And if they stay healthy and they're out there, they're going to be tough to deal with.
What's the strength of the football team, John?
Offensive line is still the strength. Again, the starting 5, I mean, and 4 of the 5 are all pro level players. Maybe not Cam, but if you want to go Pro Bowl level, probably not all pro level, and then Tyler Steen is sort of the runt of the litter, so to speak, not physically, but from a performance standpoint, I think you're fine. You can deal. So that's still the best offensive line in football. And, I always say if you can't block people, and you see that with the second and third team Eagles offensive line and all the crappy reps, if you can't block people, you can't play offense. If you can block people, you can do a lot of things on offense. So that remains the number one strength. Typically, the defensive front is the the number one strength on defense because that's how the Eagles built it. They're still very good on the interior. There's potential outside with Nolan Smith and even Jalix Hunt, but it's not as sturdy as it was last year. And we'll see how the linebackers look with Zach Ball and Jahad Campbell. Obviously, there's talent. So still good, but not quite as good as it was last year.
We'll see how they can prevail with that, John. If I had to ask you your top 3 strengths, I think offensive line is demonstrably number 1. I agree with that, but 2 and 3, where would they go?
Well, I still think defensive front, if you look for, I think they're very good at running back with Saquon and Will. I think Will's better than people realize, especially as a receiver. I still think they're very good at wide receiver as long as the top 3 are playing. And they're a little bit more capable, I think, with Mechie, but he just got here. It's tough to tell. But the top 3 is very, very good. And then linebacker, I think Trotter is, he might be their best backup player. If you just say who's the best backup player on the team, if you're going by the summer, he'd be, good back. Will's going to be a good backup. I'm looking, Jahan's a starter, so I don't count him. Cal Katera had a good summer. I think Matt Pryor's going to be a good backup as long as he doesn't have to play tackle. If you consider Morrow a backup, I'm not considering him a backup. He would be the best, but I'm not. So I think Trotter would be in that conversation to be their best backup player. And based on the summer he had.
That's pretty good. Wide receiver depth feels good too. I mean, they added Mechie, and you talked about that as almost like doesn't bring up questions that the wide receiver room wasn't good. But I feel like before we traded for Mechie, John, you were like, this is the deepest wide receiver room, in the Sirianni era. And then they added Mechie.
Well, yeah, but, I didn't expect Terrace got hurt. So Terrace Marshall, that was all focused on him originally, because if you remember back at the start of camp, he was playing really well. And then Elijah Cooks started playing really well.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. And then, Anais Smith and Johnny Wilson were involved. And Johnny's gone. And Anais has shit the bed again. Before you even got to the undrafted guys who were looking good, Darius Cooper and Taylor Morin. So, that tells you how quickly it goes up in the smoke. And it went up in the smoke pretty quickly. To the point now you're saying you're going outside the organization to get John Mechie. And there's, John was a great college player, but he didn't produce in Houston. And he had a lot of issues, starting with leukemia, which is very difficult to deal with, to say the least. He also tore his ACL. So, but you could see when he got here, and he's only been here for a short period of time, he's better than the other guys. Now, Marshall, I put off to the side because I think he can play, but it's tough to keep him with the injuries and his inability to play special teams. He doesn't help you somewhere else. So to me, like if you needed somebody to play, especially outside for AJ or Devontae, he would be your best option, but you got to find a way to get him on the practice squad. And they might like Cooks better. But I like Marshall because he's a better athlete.
All right. And he had a decent preseason game on Friday. Well, I don't know if anybody had a decent game in that one, but I think he led the team in catches. He had like 5 catches in that game.
Yeah, he was a second round. He was he was higher than Mechie during his draft. So he was a big time college player as well at LSU. Just happened to be maybe in the greatest wide receiver room of all time.
Right. John, now we talked about the 53-man roster. What, for those who don't know, what are the rules surrounding the practice squad? How many players do they keep? What are the rules with veterans? And then we'll talk about eventually, who you think is going to be on that practice squad. I don't know if you have them all in front of you. We can kind of do it off.
Well, the practice squad is 16, and you can put veterans on. That's for the fan. That's all you need to know. It used to be back you couldn't, so that has made things a lot easier for GMs around the league. And
what's the new rule this year? Isn't there a new rule for this year? You said though.
No, the recent rules that injured reserve, you can place 2 guys on injured reserve, but that's not new. It's only a couple years old. It used to be if you placed anyone on injured reserve before the initial cut down to 53, their season was over. Now you can place 2 guys on injured reserve and designate them to return at the initial cut down. So that's why a lot of people speculated, well, the Eagles might put McKee on injured reserve. He misses 4 games and you can keep another player, but that's not going to be the case. Landon, if he was going to miss 4 games, which he's not, you could put him on injured reserve. That's a fairly new rule last couple of years. Same thing with veterans on the practice squad. Used to be just for younger players. I believe the limit years ago was 2 years of experience. And then they made it 2 veterans, and now you could have 6 veterans, I believe is the number. So you can bring as many veterans essentially as you want. And that's a way of sort of manipulating things as well, which you brought up Jimmy talking about A.J. Dillon, guys like that who are bested so they don't have to go through waivers. Kylan Granson is in that category. Patrick Johnson would be in that category now. I think he's vested now. If you do want to keep APR, but they have to be vested because then you don't risk losing them on waivers as long as you have that relationship, which the Eagles are typically very good at cultivating, and say, look, we want to keep you. We're going to start you on the practice squad, but we're going to elevate you. You're going to play on Sundays, and when it's time to put you on the 53, we're going to put you on the 53. That's what they did with Nick Gates last year.
Right.
So those are the 2 differences, but they're not new this year. They're just recent over the past couple of years.
Yep. We'll see what ends up happening. So let's run down the 16 name. I know we kind of did. Do you have them all listed out, or is that going to be too hard for you to do?
No, I got them listed out. I got them trying to get Kyle McCord back at quarterback, and they should be able to. Montrell Johnson, a running back, should be able to. Taylor Morin, undrafted receiver. Avery Williams, I think, is one of those vested guys they can get through. And then Cooks or Marshall, depending on your favorite player. I think the Eagles might lean towards Cooks. I would lean towards Marshall. EJ Jenkins, I think they want to continue to work with and bring back. Trevor Keegan, Holland Pierce, Cameron Williams, or Brett Toth, Holland Pierce, Cameron Williams. So to me, it's between who do you want to keep on the 53, Toth or Keegan. APR and O'Shawn Mathis on the edge. Lance Dixon at linebacker. Brandon Johnson, who is a nickelback that showed some promise. Eli Ricks, I think they'll try to get back. Andre Sam and Maxon Hook at safety. And then they have their international exemption, which will be Laken Bakalahi again. Unless they decide we're done with him and bring in another international player.
There you go. Not bad, Johnny Mac, but overall, obviously, still areas to improve. That's the case with every NFL roster, but I'm a little surprised you're so underwhelmed by the 90-man roster that they had. I feel like everybody's 90-man is not that good. And I also think, John, that it's one of the payoffs of success is that you're not able to keep as much depth from year to year because people poach your talent.
Well, I agree with that. I'm just trying to emphasize it. I think a lot of people didn't agree with that and are now shifting to that thought process and said, oh, they're great everywhere. They're great. Well, they're telling you they're not great everywhere by moving in and improving already at cornerback, at wide receiver, at backup quarterback, at swing tackle. And we still got time to go. So what I'm trying to say is they have highlighted that they were not happy with the depth at those positions by the moves they made.
All right, ready? So we got, if I put the number at a half a trade, you'd take the over in the next day and a half before cut down.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I'm going to put it at 1.5 trades. Will Howie make more or less than 1.5 trades?
I'm gonna go over. I think he's got 2 in him. I think I'm going exactly at 2.
So you think he makes 2 trades?
But one might be a player going out. But I think one player at least is coming in and one player might be going out. At least one player's coming in. And that would be edge rusher. And I will be stunned if we're doing this show post 4 o'clock on Tuesday, which, by the way, I'll be talking to Howie on Tuesday, so it's not going to be immediate. Just the
Does he talk? Oh, he talks after the initial.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I will be stunned, as I have been for months, and everybody can shit on me if they like. If they enter the season with this edge rushing group, I will be stunned.
We'll see if they do it. Let me make sure we got all of our chats. We got a couple super chats. Johnny Mac, Brian Pump checking in. What up, Pumper? He said, so if Keon White is too heavy to play end, explain BG last year. Sips tea.
I didn't say Keon White is too heavy to play. Keon White plays end. He's too heavy. I wish people would listen. Too heavy to play end for Vic Fangio. And he's heavier than BG, but even BG was, had a history with going back to Chip Kelly, being more comfortable being sort of the drop linebacker. He played linebacker at times. Now, Vic just liked him as a player. And that's the second part. Do not compare Brandon Graham to Keon White. Even Brandon Graham was a hell of a football player. People are talking about edge rusher and bringing in a 6'5", 285-pound guy. That is an old school base left end that does not exist in Vic Fangio's world in the modern game. Obviously, he's big enough to play defensive end. He's just got to play a different type of scheme.
Yeah, right.
If you want a 5 technique, go nuts. That's not what the Eagles want.
Pump. Let's see. Bird Gang says, if they trade for an edge, do you have an idea of the players?
I'm not going down this route. Watch the show. Watch on demand. I went too far to begin with.
You didn't go too far. You never.
Ebiketie is my number 1. Gabe Murphy is another one.
They're going Trayvon Walker, John. You can't hide it from me anymore, John.
Well, it might be too expensive. That's the problem. But, that's a player that would help them. And again, Jacksonville, I don't know where Tony is. Tony's too busy. He's in London doing wrestling. I don't know. That organization is a shit show. I wouldn't trade him. But you keep hearing his name and it persists. They have Josh Hines-Allen, who's a good player. They brought in Agba. I don't see where they have somebody to replace him, but you keep hearing the damn name. And if you give them the 28th pick in the draft or the 29th pick in the draft or the 30th pick in the draft, I would do that. Would Howie? Not so sure. They don't like to give up their first-round picks.
I know they don't, but they also like to compete for championships, and they like edge rushers, and they don't have a good one, or they don't have many good ones right now. I mean, he would change the trajectory of the season. Trayvon Walker.
Walks in the door as your best edge rusher. Walks in the door.
Which makes no one your 2 and Jalix your 3, which is probably where each of those guys should be.
Everything falls into place.
So if everything falls into place and Johnny Mack, who's the fucking arbiter of truth around football, says that, what? Come on, Roseman! Listen to Birds 365.
Takes two to tango. Takes 2 to tango.
Yeah, are they even thinking about moving him? I know that was talked about a little bit ago.
Yeah, again, I have no idea. All you hear, but all these random rumors are often not based in reality. The kid in Atlanta, that makes sense because they drafted 2 guys that they want to play. That makes more sense. Minnesota's loaded, so if they like Gabe Murphy, that makes sense. Walker doesn't make sense to me from Jacksonville's standpoint, but they're a terrible organization, so
Right, they do dumb things. It's just what they do. Bird Gang again follows up. This feels like a weird comment. He says, John's got my shorts getting tight and it ain't even 10 a.m. Let's go. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
Let's get off that. Bird Gang, thanks for the super chat, dog, but I don't know what the heck is going on this morning over there. All right, Texas T checks in. What's up, Texas T? Member for 9 months. Thank you. She says, ESPN proposed Jalix a 2026 third and a conditional 2027 for Hendrickson. Would you do it?
No. Hendrickson, I mean, I love the player. I'd love to get the player, but that's not realistic from a financial standpoint. Like when people do trades, like I always say, before you start with the trades, look at the contracts first. And the guy is holding out or holding in for 35, 40 million. It ain't working. Financially, it doesn't work. So you don't even get to the, and by the way, so just if money didn't matter, which it does, and that's what derails any Trey Hendrickson talk. I mean, a lot of people, you can't give up Jalix. Yeah, you can. Yeah,
but why would you include Jalix in a trade for an edge rusher when you're trying to improve that room? Because
you're getting a top tier.
I know you're improving it, but you're also weakening it on the back end. Like I think they would trade an asset from somewhere else.
Well, they probably would try.
Room.
I'm just using that. I'm just using the answer in the question because a lot of people, when you say, "Oh, you can't give up this guy," yes, you can. You can give it to get true difference-making players, but in Trey Hendrickson's, the money doesn't work. The only way it could potentially work is if he agreed to play out the last year of his deal to go get a Super Bowl. I do not believe that would be the case.
Right.
He doesn't work from the business perspective.
Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. Your final thoughts on a Monday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. We got the cut down days tomorrow. We might have another breaking news segment at some point today. Johnny Mac, your final thoughts on the morning show today.
Howie, you screwed me. Please don't screw me today. No, I'm joking. With Darian Kennard, he screwed me, but
he did. He messed you up.
Yeah, more to come with the Eagles, and I do believe they will be moving and shaking. Couple more moves to come. I'm going over 1.5. Exactly.
That's big. So we got a couple things coming potentially. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on Birds 365 and maybe later today for a breaking news segment.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, J Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. All right. And we talked a lot today. John's got me thinking. You could tell John was trying to hide some intel today. Who got that vibe? John was trying to hide some stuff today. I can't say too much. I don't want to get my press pass taken, but something's coming. but something's coming. All right. Fiddlesworth, go back and listen to the Open. The Open was even more interesting. All right. The Open was even more interesting. Yo, guys, what's up with that comment? Where's my boy? Well, yo, Bird Gang. Hey, dog. Appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate the $5 super chat. But yo, what are you trying to get me to say up here, man? That comment was that was one of the most interesting comments I've ever received on Birds 365, and we've had quite a few of them. All right, Brian, what's up, brother? Appreciate you, Brian. Thanks for being here, my dude. All right. He says, I mean the trade talk. I know what you meant, but did you have to phrase it that way? Dude, you don't blame me, Bird Gang. He says, I mean the trade talks, bro. You said John's got my shorts getting tight. That's what you said, bro. That is what you said, not me. That's what you said. That is what you said, my guy. Don't start pointing fingers at me like I interpreted something wrong. Interesting choice of commentary. All right. Bird Gang on trial for that one. Bird Gang on trial. Phillies to Chicago. What up, my dude? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. JD3. I can appreciate a good. Yep, I did say that, and I admitted to it quick. I had another interesting Diddy comment that I will not say on this show. All right, that was said on an actually a video on ZK's Garage that was tragic. That will be posted up soon. So I'm sure I'll get some comments on that one too. We got some goofies in the chat though. There's no doubt. SMD, what's up? Appreciate you being here. Z, you grilling next Thursday? Nah, I'm working, Rich. What are you talking about, my dude? Do I look like the kind of guy that's grilling on the Eagles? I'm working. Now, I'd like to grill, but I'm working. We got that sun coming in now. Got that sun coming in right now. I had one nerd. How about that one nerd in the chat earlier who's like, this guy in the head is so negative. And then leave it to Deshae. Deshae's the most negative, cranky person I've ever seen in the chat. It's like 4 years straight this kid's been crying in the chat. And then this guy comes, who's the guy in the head? He's so negative. And then Deshae jumps in. Oh, that's just Philly media. I'm like, I'll leave it to Deshae to answer that guy. Classic Deshae jumps in. All right. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Z, I'm muted? No, I'm not. Why would I be muted? Check audio. Check 1 2. It's a check 1 2. Leon, turn your computer on, numbnuts. Z, I knew you weren't going to let that go. And who's the guy in the hat? He knows who I fucking am. Guy's a shrimp. Oh, my God. I opened up this show, and somebody wasn't telling me how great the Eagles are. The Eagles are fucking great, dude. How many times you got to be told? Holy moly. All right, here's Eduardo. It says, rate my fantasy draft, chat. Baker, Barkley, Kyron Williams, DJ Moore, Sutton, Mark Andrews, James Cook, Pittsburgh defense, McLaughlin at kicker. I'm not a fantasy guy, but it sounds like it's solid for fantasy. Baker's probably a great fantasy quarterback. He gets a ton of yards. Saquon's obviously. Kyron Williams is going to be the workhorse there in LA. DJ Moore is meh. Sutton is meh. Mark Andrews is a player that gets a lot of action in that offense. James Cook, I like. Pittsburgh defense, I like. McLaughlin, I don't know. I don't analyze kickers. I don't know what the fucking kickers are in the league. Not bad, Eduardo. I don't know. I don't play fantasy much, so I don't know. Mark Andrews is going to sell you like shit, bro. Brian gives you a C+. Bruce Banner checks in. Bruce, I absolutely put you through a paper shredder about 12 hours ago, my friend. And then you were crying. You're like, dude, I'm a big JAKIB fan. I know, Bruce. If you want to give a little, then take a little too, you numbnuts. Not bad. Isaiah Likely's out. PPR, you're cooked. I don't know. I'm not the right guy to ask. It's a 12-man league. I went heavy on running backs. All right. A lot of people said it was mid, though. A lot of people said it was mid. A mid-ski. A mid-ski. It's a mid-ski. Eduardo, you drafted like shit. Although I do like Baker. I feel like he's a fantasy merchant. Some folks just want to be coddled. See, Joe Whip, you're telling me. I know it, man. Bruce says, you ain't shred shit. Bruce, I shredded you so bad. You immediately in the comments after I ended the show were like, why'd you come at me? I'm a JAKIB fan. I love JAKIB. All right, dude. So you know JAKIB, right? This ain't for the faint of heart. I'm not going to coddle you. All right? I'm not going to tuck you in at night, Bruce. Fucking team's got some issues. We're going to talk about the issues. Holy shit. I forget what Bruce said. I know I ripped him, though. I know I ripped him. All right? I know I shredded him. And Rick, this pot Rich, he checked in. SMD says my hat was fire. I agree, SMD. Fire hat last night. And then Rich checks it. He's like, this good. What did you say? Rich, what was your stupid comment? Let me find it. Let me find your stupid comment after the fact last night. Rich left a dumbass comment on the after. Z trying to make that hat cool is like making fetch cool with the face palm emoji. I'm like, oh yeah, this dude with an anonymous name and an anonymous profile picture. All right. Shut up, Rich. Cheesecake. Cheesecake Rich. Bruce says, I said your hat looks like you rap about pyramids. I don't even know what that meant. There you go, SMD. That was it. Bird Gang Girl says, I need a new name, or Bird Gang does. So Bird Gang Girl, who is famous for her name in the chat, is actually considering changing her name now because this dude says John's got his shorts getting tight, which is one of the most Diddy comments you will ever read in a JAKIB chat. John's got my shorts getting tight. Clip it, post it. I don't give a shit. That is a diddler comment right there. That is a diddler comment. All right. I know Flexen loved that comment because that was Diddy on steroids right there. Lamar says, we're going up on a hill wearing skates on this defense. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad. She needs to change her name to Karen Gang. Texas Boy's still reeling because, Texas Boy, I appreciate you for being here. All right. You are a resident Cowboy fan, just like James Jones is a resident Commander fan. You got taken to the woodshed by Big Sills. Taken to the even Cilio's biggest haters should watch that video. All right. If you hate Big Sills, I don't care. Go and click on one of the most recent videos on the channel of Dan Cilio annihilating the Dallas Cowboys. It was so funny. It was so funny. I still can't Google cis pop, but I'll figure it out one day. What do you mean, Curtis? There's not much to figure out there. Curtis, take that brain that's inside your dome and start using it. Start using it, Curtis. Philly Don says, Zander, Howie's going to put the screws to ask Philly Don, can you reword this, dude? Howie is going to put the screws to ask called GM trading for top-tier edge with him, paying for part of the player's contract for the next. Yo, Philly Don, not your best work. Philly Don, not your best work. Resubmit. All right. Titty Boy, he cooked your ass. I like that name for him. I like Texas Boy, actually. He's fun. Listen, Texas Boy is a Cowboy fan. Can we really blame him? He's trying to find Texas Boy's the most fun that Texas Boy has being a fan of football. I always say it to people. People come here and they're like, how could you say this about the team? I'm like, guys, sports talk is supposed to be fun. Like, do you really just want me to tell you that you think the Eagles are, that I think the Eagles are great? I mean, for sports talk is supposed to be a fun, entertaining platform about one of our favorite hobbies. That's how I view sports talk. I don't want to be told what I believe all the time. I want to be challenged. I want to think outside the box. I want to, force myself to ponder different circumstances. I think that's a good part of sports talk. So people who want to become here and coddle, this is not going to be the channel for you. And I'm never going to make it the channel for you. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to push you outside of your thought processes and your boundaries. All right? This guy says, yo, Zander, bick the head live on JAKIB. Ditch the hat and show pride in the genetics. Be bald, my brother. Exciting whites. I have plenty of pride in my genetics, my friend. I do. Maybe that may be one of my downfalls is sometimes I'm too prideful, and I try not to be because that's a sin. I don't want to be that guy. But I'm confident. I'm comfortable in who I am. I love who I am. Sometimes it rubs people the wrong way because nobody can tell me shit. I don't need to be told shit. I don't need anybody's approval. I don't need your approval. I don't need anybody's approval. And sometimes people don't like that so much. All right? But I hear you. I'll rock that. What do you want? Look, you can see whenever I put the hat on, you can see it coming through. But, I get a decent head of hair. We talked about barbers in the chat the other day. All right? We talked about barbers in the chat. And I was in church yesterday, and you got to love it because I was like, I got to go to a Mexican barber or a black barber. And you guys were like, you got to go to a Puerto Rican barber. So yesterday I'm in church, and there's a Puerto Rican guy next to me. He was awesome. I talked to him after the fact, after church. And he's got a fade up, but he went crazy with he had like designs on the side of his head almost. It looked fucking sick. I got to give this kid credit, dude. It looked so sick. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, bro, I need a Puerto Rican barber. He's like, I'll get you hooked up, bro. It was funny. It was funny. He's like, nah, keep rocking the Kango. I was like, yeah, that's his way of telling me my hair is trash. All right. Deshay says, you need some hair plugs, Z. Deshay, I don't need shit. All right. Fuck off. This is true. SMD says, when Zander first started hosting, he never wore a hat. He also wore a blazer and a button-down shirt. I did. The first week I wore a blazer. Then I switched to only collared. Now I've switched to my style. I've evolved, SMD. I'm more myself now. I have two barbers, a Dominican and a white guy who thinks he's black. That's classic to Shay. Big Z, did the Hustlers make out detailing the vet? They did, but I'm down the shore, so I'm booked for him in September at some point. Zander, please don't get zigzag shit on your head. Sig Lord, I didn't say for me. I said the Puerto Rican who was next to me in church looked fucking fuego. All right? He did. He looked fuego. It's the truth of the matter. I told him it too. I'm like, yo, fire cut, dude. He's like, thanks, brother. Appreciate you, dog. It was great. It was great. All right? It was great. Zander doesn't need knob and tubes in his head. No, I don't. Bring back the Blazers, Z. You think so, Flex? No, I like my style now. I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm good. Dominican barbers are the best. Yeah, they are, bud. But I'm looking at your picture. I can't really see it. It's small, so it's really tiny, but looks like you could use a Dominican barber. Spray. I joked about that once on the show, and Akbar sent me the funniest tweet in the world. He's like, Xander's the only white guy who could rip black dudes for spray painting their hair, and me find it funny. I was in tears. I do think that's corny as hell. I mean, who the fuck? What are you spray painting your head for? Come on, man. Rock the artist says, what's up, bro? What's up, Rock? Appreciate you being here, brother. Big Z is in church praying for more hair. That is the last thing I would ever pray for in church. I could not give a shit about my hair. I actually love wearing hats. I've always been a hat guy, like since high school when I had a full head of hair. I love wearing hats, and I love Kangos. I love the brand Kango. They got so many good styles. They really do. I got like a lot of them too. All right. Z, you keep the show current. Thanks, Curtis. I appreciate you. WP, I would do it. I would consider it. All right. I mean, the hair's already going anyway. I might as well get some zigzags in there to piss off Sig Lord. Be classic. Imagine coming out of the hat. If I could just prop the hat up like this and then just boop, boop, boop. Be fire. Hair cuttery made me look like Joe Dirt. That's classic. All right. Prince, what do you got? You got big locks, Prince? Is he down bad if he gets zigzags? Come on, Flex. No, I'm not. Flex, Flex, I'm never down bad. Don't you understand, Flex? Although I think that's M. Rice in your profile picture. That's pretty funny. Sig has flipped his stance. Why not, Zig? Soon you'll have no hair and you'll regret not ever having the zags. You guys know when I was a kid, I was like 8 years old, all right? Like real young. 8, maybe 7, 6, 8 years old. I don't know, somewhere in that range. All right. It was Christmas Eve. All right. Christmas Eve. And my mom used to host Christmas Eve parties for my whole family. My Italian mother had a beautiful cook, made the whole meals, everything. Awesome. After Christmas Eve mass, everybody would come over. All right. And my dad took us to the barber on Christmas Eve one time. This dude got my brother the lines. He got like the Thunderbolt lines. He had 3 Thunderbolts. 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. And then for me, he shaved it almost all, like close to the head. And in the back was a triangle patch. A triangle patch. And I came home on Christmas Eve and my mom was like, what the actual fuck did you do to my son's hair? My dad is a legend. I got such a legendary dad. I wish you guys had a dad as cool as my dad. My dad is a legend. He said, not those Kodak black dreads. I got a business. Prince, you don't have to cut your hair any sort of way. Oh, Deshae, that's a bad bet. I wouldn't make that bet. Week 1, bro. I got the pretty boy dread. Well, Prince, what does that even mean? They're all like they're matted down on your head or something. What are they? Give me somebody to look up, Prince. Give me the right black dude with the right dreads that I can look up and think, all right, that's what Prince is working with. All right, because you told me you got too much hair. I'm thinking you got some big ass dreads. All right. Let me get that Illuminati special. Exactly. I don't know if it was a triangle. It might not have been a triangle. I know there was a patch back there. And then there was something carved into the patch. I forget what it was. Z, give us a scoop behind Merrill getting the JAKIB axe. All right, I can give you a little scoop. I don't know how nefarious it was, but 4 years he's been coming on. Last time he was almost silly. He had like that big viral moment that everybody picked up where he kind of showed off the cleats that Jalen Hurts gifted him, which was really a sick moment. I mean, I loved it. It was pretty cool. You wouldn't get that anywhere else. I mean, they employ Merrill, but they would never put Merrill in that position to be able to show a moment like that. So I don't know if it was the Eagles. I don't know if it was Bob Lang. I'm not sure if it was WIP. Odyssey is not a fan of us. They never have been a fan of us. We used to do business with them. And then there's a funny thing out there that everybody used to talk about, and we're going to have a major update. I don't want to give you too much because it's all in court right now, and there's legal ramifications, but yeah, Odyssey tried to prey on a small business. All right. They tried to kick us when we were down. They tried to get a boatload of money out of us. They lied. They made fake signatures, fake contracts, and all sorts of different things. And now when they put out the press release to try and put pressure on a small business, because this is what they do. This is what companies like that do. They take a small 2-man shop like me and my pop, and they try and put you in a corner and say, oh, they're not going to fight us in court. Oh, we're suing JAKIB Media for $400,000. Yeah, well, guess who's offering us settlements now? Guess who's offering us 6-figure settlements now for defamation of our business, for ruining business contracts, for forging and falsifying contract documents? Yeah, that's Odyssey. Okay, that's Odyssey. So I got a lot of updates coming on all those things, but I don't want to get into it right now because we're still in the midst of it. So I just don't want to speak on it too much. One day I will speak openly on it. You know me, I'm an open book. I'm not here to hide shit from you. I'll talk about anything. All right. But those are fucked up people. And the executives in that business are fucked up. And there's a reason their stock is down 98%. All right. So fuck them. And I can't wait to learn more. Exactly, Rico, the minute you know that they're offering a settlement and you haven't even been in court, you know that they're hiding something. You know that they're trying to make everything. Wait, so listen to this. I'll give you one piece of intel. All right, I'll give you one piece of intel. This is how scumbaggy these people are. So they put out this big public release when this happened. Tried to literally, it damaged our business, reputational damage. All right. And now in their settlement, they said, we're going to give you an apology letter that you can't make public for 9 extra months. It has to remain sealed. Fuck you. Fuck you. You want to fucking publish all this bullshit about our business, tarnish our name, tarnish all these different things. And then you want to apologize to us and we have to keep it sealed for 9 months? Yeah. Kiss my ass where the sun don't shine, jerk offs. But listen, we might be a small shop. I'm not going to let anybody bully me. I never will. Fuck that. I'd rather die fighting the battle than lay down like a dog and let them walk on me. So, sorry, you guys got me on a tangent by bringing up Merrill Reese. I don't know if any of that's involved in it, but I know Odyssey's there. Oh, Joe, we've already proved it. That's why they're trying to settle. All right, that's why they're trying to settle, Joe. Major, already proven. That's why they, who are suing us for $400,000, and now they're coming back offering us a settlement. Yeah, again, suck my whatever. I don't want to speak too much on it. Z's going to need to go to church. Yeah, you're right. All right. Abe says, Zander, can I get a recap for today? Well, they made 3 trades yesterday, Abe. What else? Johnny Mac thinks that they're making a move at edge. So we'll see what ends up happening there. And that's really it. I mean, the 53-man roster's coming. The 53-man roster's coming. Odyssey Odyssey owns WIP and Merrill's an employee of WIP. Again, it is what it is. I'm not like, I don't hold grudges. And one thing is this, I'll say this, Chris, if I ever get to a point where the success of my business relies on them allowing somebody to be a guest on our business, then I've built a bad business. I can't rely on that shit. That's great. It's good additional stuff. It's good growth things. It's all great. It's all fine and dandy to have. But if I ever get to a point where I say, oh no, Odyssey won't let Merrill Reese on, my business is in trouble. Well, I got news. I fucked up. So I'm not going to let that dictate what I do. I'm not going to let it dictate the way we handle content, the way that we build our business, grow our business, improve our business, connect with our audience, make more money, whatever the case may be. So I can never get to a point where I allow anybody else to dictate that. That remains in my control, and it always will. But if I ever get to that point, that ain't good, man. Angelo, they ain't using shit. Angelo, they ain't using shit against me, I promise you. Believe me, all right? I haven't said anything about that case. But I did give you some intel. The world will keep spinning, no doubt, Lamar. No doubt, my brother. I thought Zander went to church yesterday. Yeah, Prince, it's not a good Monday morning, all right? Zander about to write a book. Nah, I'm not writing a book, man. I'm not writing a book. But you do hear about, like, big companies trying to mess with the small guy. And I always said, like, I used to always just say, like, I don't want to take on that mentality because it's like, I don't want to play the victim, man. I don't play the victim in anything in life. I'm not a victim. All right. I'm a victor. How about that? You can be a victim. I'll be a victor. Everything that happens to you, you can be a victim of it or you can become a victor of it. I want to be a victor. That's what I want to be. How do I get to that point? All right. So I don't want to sit here and fucking harp on it. But, there is a lot of stuff that goes on that behind the scenes of big businesses, small businesses competing, that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on there. $10 to $11, just going off on everything every Monday. For Dirty Air, I would do it. Z, isn't my brother a lawyer? He is not a lawyer. No, not a lawyer. My brother's dope, though. He was down in Cape May this weekend with me. So we had our two C8s. They were both parked, one in front of the other. And I had my two custom plates on the back, two ZK's garage plates. And people were walking by, and it was cool because it was like one C8 black, one C8 white. And they both had the ZK's garage. And I was out there, and one dude biked by with his two sons behind him on bikes, and they were like, "Oh, look, two Corvettes, both in the same garage." And then I had two kids last night. One was like 14, probably, and like 10-year-old. They walked up to me when I was getting out of my car last night, and they were like, "Yo, we found you on YouTube. Like, does YouTube pay you to do this?" They were flabbergasted. They were young kids, man. All right. So it was cool. It was cool. Rich says, "Oh, that's my brother." Yeah, my brother's a beast. I love my brother. My best friend. Have a good week, Xander. We'll be interested to see all the roster cuts. Agreed, Hogan. Appreciate you being here, brother. Xander will turn the other cheek as soon as he's done shitting all over you. Well, Curtis, I don't hold grudges on people either. I try not to. I mean, if people come in here and they're redundant and repetitive, then I shit on them as appropriate because, again, I'm not going to let people walk all over me in life in any realm. Again, it's always easy for people in the chat, and I'm not talking about you, Curtis. I'm just saying in general, for people in the chat to throw out, even if they're just made in jest or in humor. It's always easy for you to make a comment about me. I'm the man in the arena. So how I respond, other people can't grasp or contextualize or understand maybe to some extent. And I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I'm the guy up here. I'm going to handle it as I see fit. Any guest on Still Show, I have no clue. He'll let me know later on today. Probably, though. Probably have Gary Cobb today. Probably have G Cobb. All right, I'm getting out of here. Good show. Good show this morning. I think we're going to have some breaking news coming today. So I'll probably be live again at some point today. I think there's going to be breaking news. Oh, one other thing I wanted to talk about before I go. Oh, Killer, I'll get to your super chat. One other thing I wanted to talk about today. How awful and brutal news for the Philadelphia Phillies that Zach Wheeler is done for the season. Awful. Just a brutal hit. Now, I think the Phillies are more positioned to handle that loss this year than another year. But I want Zach to get healthy. More important than anything. He's got a wife at home. He's got kids. I want him to get healthy. Blood clots. I hear things like that. I want him to get healthy more than I want the Phillies to win. You might think I'm crazy for that, but I do. I'm a people person first. I always will be. I always have been. These are games. There's human beings that are real humans. I want him to get healthy first, but awful that happened for this Phillies team because I was really starting to feel like this Phillies team is going to have a good chance in October to make a push if the cylinders were clicking at the right time. And that's just a massive blow, man. It really is. I mean, Zach Wheeler is such a star, such an amazing pitcher, such a good player for this city and for that team. I saw that news, and I kind of suspected, guys, I'm not going to lie, when it came out a couple of weeks ago where, he had the blood clot and he got a surgery and he was going to get a second opinion. And I kind of suspected he wouldn't be back. I mean, I think a lot of people did, but I'm just upset about it because I thought the Phillies had a really good chance this year. And I think they still do. Maybe it's a rallying cry. Maybe it's something that the team can rally behind. But, guys, you lose your ace, man. That's tough to overcome. So I think he's getting a second surgery. So we'll see. I just wanted to mention that. It's a big loss. It's going to be hard to overcome. Doesn't mean they can't overcome it, but it's going to be hard. it's going to be hard to overcome, no doubt. So I appreciate all you guys being here today. Let me get these super chats and then I'll get out of Dodge. All right. Here's Brian Pumper. J-Mac claims to know ball, then brings up Trayvon Walker. Buddy has been preaching pay young guys all offseason, and BG is the same size as Keon. Trayvon Walker would help, Brian. I disagree with you on that. Killer Tomato says, what's with the Big Sills smoke against the Sanders family on X? The media glazing is for real. You got any thoughts? I haven't seen him bashing them on X, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like them. Maybe he doesn't like the Sanders family. I like the Sanders family. I like Dion. I like Shador. I have no problem with their personalities. Again, I'm a different type of dude, and I'm a confident dude. So it doesn't bother me when other people are like that and don't need the approval of others or don't need the approval of nerds in the media who sit there with their glasses on and their big-ass stomach and chirp about athletes who are, you know, the men in the arena, as I like to say. So I got no problem with that, but obviously, Shiloh made a dumb move the other night in preseason when he punching a dude in the face. Well, come on, fucking dude. Yeah, go back to the bench. What the fuck you doing? Stupid, you know? But I don't know. I didn't see it, Killer Tomato. I'm not sure what his smoke is against the family, but sometimes Cilio bashes people and doesn't like them. He's entitled to that opinion. He always will be. He always will be. Dirty Air, I think that's probably the truth of the situation with those kids. I think Shador could be okay, but he says as players, they're not that good. I don't think Charlotte's that good. So, and then you're undrafted free agent and you're throwing punches like, dude, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? That's where I think you got to see, again, I like being a confident person, but you got to be smart enough to know when to push buttons and when to not. You're an undrafted free agent. What the fuck are you punching somebody in the face in a preseason game for? Dude, go back to the bench. Help the team or don't. And if you don't, you're done. And he got released. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Xander, the media and social media tried to turn this into a race situation. Well, which part of it? Because I know the Shador Sanders thing was a little bit of a race situation. Again, I'm a white guy, so I don't try and speak on the experiences or the perspectives of black people. Like, again, I'm white. I speak from my perspective only. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. So be it. I'm open to other perspectives. I always will be, and I'll always hear them out and listen to them. So I'm not trying to speak for that, but it feels a little bit like fake to me. Like I don't know. Again, I'm a white guy. I can't speak on it, but do we really think there's like a lot of racism still permeating in that way with the NFL? I don't know. Maybe there is. Half of my top 10 quarterbacks, more than half of them are black. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like as a society, as a league, as a sports channel, I feel like we should all be able to overcome those things. Now, I know the world ain't perfect and it's not that sunshine and rainbows. I don't view life through the lens of what color are you. That's what I think of you. I don't do that. It's not how I view athletes. It's not how I view people. It's not how I view human beings. It's not how I view much of anything in life. Some people do. I don't know. I'd like to think that the Shador thing is not a race problem. But again, Flex, I can only speak from my perspective, brother. I can only speak from my perspective. So I think Shador has to do better at trying to get on the field. And when he does get on the field, make the most of your opportunities. And if you make the most of your opportunities, I don't believe you'll be not given the opportunities to take that to the next level. If you don't show in those opportunities, you're probably not going to get on the field. Welcome to the NFL. It's fucking hard. It's hard, you know? But I'm not really sure. You know, I think there's a lot of context to it, and I try and speak with it. I try and speak about it from a perspective that I understand there's more to the issues than what's at the surface. But I try not to make too much of it from a sense of Shador fell to the 5th round only because he's black. And I'm like, well, maybe there is something with the family there. But like Cam Ward is also a black quarterback who was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Like, it can't be all that, you know? There's always more context. There's always more variables in anything. But I don't know. It's a tough situation to talk about. I don't find it tough to talk about because, again, I always try to be real with you guys. That's it. I try and be real. I don't try and be polished. I don't try and say the politically correct right thing. I just say how I feel and what I honestly believe. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. But SMD, you're right. I just got done explaining I hate being the victim and shit. And don't be a victim. Make the most of your opportunities. If you do, I guarantee you will have the more opportunities to showcase that and get further in your career and your life. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. All right, everybody. I love all you guys. Let me actually get out of here right now. All right. Hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.